it says connecting. Oh, there we go. It's working. Well, now let's see if it works. It's been a bit since I've streamed. Alright, yeah, I think we're good. Alright, yeah. Yep, we're working. Okay, you could hear the loop for a second. Oh, hey, and there's that ping on my phone. Well, as the title says, I hope I finish today. Not quite sure if I will.
Ryan Sturren, we best keep to our knitting. It's time to either run the table or go home empty. Ryan's got the genetic key to Rapture. We get that from him, and we get out of this hellhole. We don't.
Welcome to the Circus of Value.
I got 266. I don't remember exactly where I am. I could be, a little... I could be right before Ryan. I actually face Ryan. Yep, and kill him. Yep. Okay. Give me a second. Well, there's someone here, of course. Well, as I was saying, I sure hope that I get to finish today. And then here's more talking.
Waiting for someone to come and tell him he's still got it. I suppose that's why he let you live.
I don't know if he's gonna walk over here. Alright. Am I good to talk now? That'd be really nice. So yes, as the title says, I hope I can finish Bioshock today. I really want to. The plan was for Daniel and I to talk through Warhammer, because that first discussion that we had when I played Bioshock. Oh, she's all electrical-y. And he's just walking around her. Oh, so that's what's happening. Alright. No one's here. Ah! Picture. What? Heal. Okay, well. He's good. Ouch. Alright, we're good. And that's why you bring a flamethrower to a wrench match. Or whatever. I could have just set him on fire before that would have been fun. Anyways, yes, I really hope Daniel and I can get to talking. I don't know what he's up to. We planned for Monday. We said Monday at 4. Hopefully, something happens. I don't know. But, I messaged him. I was like, hey, we still doing this? I took a nap, so if I seem tired, that is, exactly why. But, yeah, I just woke up from the nap. I was like, oh, it's like 3:40. I should get ready for this. And, oh, here we are. And I believe...
You can taste it, can't you?
Yes, I do remember this now. Oh, darn, he missed me. How did you take... Ah? Oh, that blew up. Alright, I think I'm good. I don't know what that was. Alright, how do I do it? Right click for plasmids. Okay. Maybe if I go this way. I don't know. Oh, chemical thrower. Cool. B. It's been so long since I've played this. I love how quickly you can do that, though. I don't know if I ever said that, while playing this, earlier, but, ooh. It's so nice, Oh, crap, we don't have another one of those, do we? Darn, okay, well, I can spin this in my favor and make it so that I hit that, just double checking. Yeah, there's only the one. That sucks. And we'll just hack it again. Okay, now we gotta think quick. I like how the game either makes it, it's one or the other. It's either you have to think super duper quick or you don't think at all. It's just like, oh, we already solved it for you. Right click? Yeah, that's the one. Alright. So now I better go hide. There we go. Well, now here's a minute of silence. I always forget that's how it works. They can type that out. Yeah, I guess I'll keep the scored up on my phone. Alt-tabbing is kind of difficult. Oh, wait, Daniel just messaged. Work let him out late. Okay, yeah, I'll just message him real quick as that's going off. I got 30 seconds. Oh, there's someone... Okay, well, don't worry. I'll just be on my phone. There we go. That's the only thing I'm really not a big fan of. Oh, I can loot like this? I mean, I figured I could loot, but, oh, I didn't know that you could choose to hack from that menu. Cool. Oh, gotta think. Oh, where's the... There you are. Where's you? Oh, it's been a minute. I totally forgot how to play. Right there, right there. I keep thinking it's middle mouse button. This is the problem. Okay, well, what are you? Okay, well, he's just hanging out. So what if I, so right click is swap there. Alright. What? How'd I miss? Also, that was really cool. I did not notice that if I hit a pipe, then the pipe, breaks. That was super cool. Alright, well, you're getting the wrench. Yeah, I shot this pipe and it broke. I want to try that again. That's so cool! That's like, you know, not a lot, but if that provided like a, you know, the steam getting so damaged that it provides like cover, that'd be super cool. Alright, I gotta use the frag grenade. Gene bank, I think I'm good. I've also, the fact that I'm, you know, like 2/3 of the way through the game, and I've only got 6 plasmids left to unlock. Pretty nice. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, cool, good to know. Alright, and, I forgot the level was this big before we actually go to, Andrew Ryan's, team.
Trying to get as close to Ryan's gate as possible
Yeah,
without making a
well,
spectacle of
I'm
myself.
just a little drunk.
He's got a shield at 6 ways to Leicester. There's no way into that place. All I got for my trouble was the hairy eyeball from Ryan Splicer mates. That's the reward you get for trying to outsmart the best electrical engineer of our generation.
Who is that? I was so not prepared for that. I forgot where V was, and I was like, I guess I'm just gonna freak out for a second. There we go. I probably did not have to smack it, but... Oh! I love that this is freaking me out. This is amazing. This isn't even the scary part of the horror game. It's not even really a horror game so much as it is like an action shooter. There we are. For some reason my phone just turned itself off, so let's leave that there. Here we go. Now where is this woman that I heard? She was like laughing. Invent. Oh. Alright, cool. That was my other worry. My sister is home. She's from out of state, and she stopped by, for like a week. And she's got kids. And so her kid, she was about to go to the store, but she was just like, hey, I might be leaving my kid here. He might, wake up, and then you have to tend to him. Which, you know, totally fine. I don't see him very often, so... We've got 3 little sisters in this level. This is a level? But... I ended the last stream. Yeah! I swear I ended the last stream. Hephaestus, autosave. That was an autosave. As of mail out. Fontaine. Point Prometheus. I swear I know I played through this level. Fontaine. I guess I'll try that? I don't know. Because I remember I ended the last stream by reaching into Ryan and doing the thing. Nope, this is where I was. Huh. Oh. I just lost. I just lost progress. Okay, well... I guess I'm just gonna fly through this level as quickly as I can. Yeah, that's what it is. Alright. How are you not dead? Oh! I forgot about you. Okay. Alright, there we go. I always forget about how, this works. Hey, get over here. Get over here! Oh, you just gave up? Woo. That's a little overkill, but you know what? She was mean. See, she had a wrench. That was self-defense. Yep. And we're moving on from that.
You can taste it, can't you? Andrew Ryan.
See, now that I remember how to use plasmids and, be smart. Okay, where is this person? There you are. Woo. Hey, I think she hurt herself. Alright, let's do this first try this time. Right there and right there, because we might need those. There. I know that's the tough one, but I'm trying to be fast. There you are. We didn't even alert anyone. Look at how much better we're playing this. And I've still got all my money. Because I'm gonna try and use plasmids. Oh my gosh! Why did that scare me? Oh my gosh. That was the biggest jump scare I've had in a while, and I was literally just playing a horror game. I played Welcome to the Game 2 last night. Also, none of those bullets hit me. I'm like literally Neo. Oh, I'm so reeling from that. That was I apologize for being loud. Ooh. Okay, so there's the thing over there. Oh, I think... Thank you, it was so kind. I don't need any frags. Ah! That's what it is. Oh, that's not a bomb? What is that? Heat-seeking RPG. Ah, thanks, lady. Like, why can't I jump on this? Now, how do I crouch? There it is. Thank you. And that's that. Alright, well, let's, why am I not sprinting? There we go. I forgot that sprint is a toggle option in this. So what are these again? Hypnotize Big Daddy 2. Security bullseye. Alright. Alright, let's be super duper cool. Oh, we're not gonna be super duper cool! I lost it already. Let's just have it hurt me. Because I definitely have the health for this. Okay. I figured it would do that again, so I was just prepared. I wonder if there is a possibility for... I mean, I don't know why I just said I wonder if there's a possibility. There absolutely is a certainty that these can be so difficult that they are unwinnable. That's why you have plasmids. Yeah. Alright, there was a heal station right here, correct? Yes. And a circus of values. So, rather than trying to heal, let's just, make the screen a little drunk, huh? I literally says the beer. There we go. I don't need to listen to that because I've already listened to it. Let's just get the hack. Oh! Ah! You! Okay, you. Oh, I need to think better. Nearly lost that. Okay. Time to use my brain a bit more. Okay. I'm not that tired. I literally just took like a tiny nap. Apparently, I'm in worse shape than I thought because whew, that was I feel like there's gonna be a fight in there. I got the thought in my brain hole. And of course, there's another shoot. How do I let go of this? Nice. Also, why am I perpetually stuck? What? Maybe that? Oh my gosh. I'm like clipped into the wall. Okay. I figured that that's what that was, but thank you. Alright. Who's in here? No one. I forget how to let go of that nice. Ooh, preference on the wall. So I got these two. Well, this guy seems to already got his spot over here, so I guess I'll take this spot, right? Do I get to choose how I'm, ooh, do I get to face the wall or not face the wall? What do you guys think? I say to no one. Well, that guy's just charred. That guy's missing, well, he's not really missing part of a head. But, yeah, I'm gonna say this one facing the wall, because I might not look too good when I'm done. Alright. What if I try to, use goalie, kill him, then string him up like the others? Is that what they have? Okay, yeah, I'd want to face the wall that way. That's my thought. Ha-chow! Oh! Did that do anything? Oh, you guys are They're just like, huh, I guess it must have been the wind.
Hide in the shadows.
Well, oops. Ah! Don't shoot me, please.
Only making it.
How are you not dead? That's uncool of you. How are you not dead? Okay, well, let's just, grab that. Don't let yourself be frozen out. Oh! No. Not yet. Apparently the pistol is just, not very helpful. 20 personnel rounds. This was high damage and this was high damage. Right? That's what I did. You're not quite low level yet. Ouch, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. Oh, there's no frozen gel. That's the one that I was missing. Oh, he died. Okay, well, I only got 2 things now. Am I good? I literally can hide forever because I have invisibility. Anti-personnel rounds, that's fun. Let's just do regular mission rounds. Okay, literally wouldn't.
Coming back to life. Even now, can't you hear the breath returning to her lungs? The shops reopening, the schools humming with the thoughts of young minds. My city will live. My city will thrive.
See, I'm gonna electrocute him in the water, and then I'm gonna burn him.
Use your tombstone.
Oh no! Please don't come around this corner. Oh no! Oh no! That was unfortunate. At least there we go. Search. Ooh. Oh, you got nothing. Okay, well let's try and make this one quick.
Ignore the lies of Atlas and his parasites. Rapture is on the rise.
Ooh. Interesting little... Oh, this is a long level. I forgot about this. Alright, well, I know I literally just went all the way back, but let me see. Olympus Heights, there we are. Fontaine. Why did I load a save from May? July 14th? Oh, of last year. Of 2 years ago. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna load in a save from Apollo Square, because that's where I left it off. Sorry, Olympus Heights. Because that's where I left it off. Yeah, why did it not save anything from Olympus Heights, or anything past Hephaestus, because that's where I ended. Alright, well, I want to play the game, I want to finish the game, and I don't know if I can finish that along with the level that I'm playing, or with that specific level, because, you know, that's a long level. I remember that took me like an hour. So, from this one, of course I've only got 1 heal. Not bad. I've only got 1 of those? Okay. Wow. I mean, I guess this was maybe my first official playthrough of the game. I've already got the little sisters. So, perhaps the next time I go to it... Ah!
I don't like this
Yeah, okay.
You do, kid. But you gotta understand where I'm coming from. I got 12 years down here. Big investment. Man can't walk away from a long con like that.
Alright, how do I, is it V? Yeah, Z is close. There we go. How do I get in here? There we go. I hope this is worth it. Okay, boom, and boom, and messages. Someone's messaging me. Can I get the money? My wallet's full? Okay, well, time to... Yeah, let's quick hack this. There you are. Boop, 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 boop. I'll be sad if there wasn't another one of those. So I guess I got money, but that's maybe it. I don't know why I'm going this way. This is not my objective. M is for map. Yes, okay, so let's go back to the little sister station. Because maybe I'll get a little surprise. No. Eve upgrade sounds pretty great. Or, oh no, plasmid slice is the good thing. Wow, okay, maybe I just did not get stuff. Incinerate 2, Incinerate 3 would be great. I don't know how to look up my, my plasmid slots in particular, but... No. So long as he doesn't have a, little sister with him, he should be good. And this is where you start the level, basically. Alright. Well, let's do that first. Machine gun rounds, sure. Auto hack tool, let's just have 4. I like the hacking, but... Oh, is this the... Yes, alright, so yeah, I have everything except for a plasmid slot. Wow, okay, my first playthrough was dumb. I mean, then again, I guess I was playing a little more smart, maybe, because I had an extra... Oh no, that'd be it, because I had 6 slots in my last playthrough, and now I've only got 1, and there were 3 last level and 2 this level, so... Yeah, okay, I guess I'm being smart. Smart enough. Let's see what that message was while I'm walking. Multitasking. As long as I'm not doing this while driving. That's Kyle, yep. That's pretty much it, yeah. Well, Kyle, you're not watching, but that is exactly what this is. It's just, I play Bioshock. And also, I love that the thumbnails are just getting more and more insane. It was literally just, it was just, oh, he's doing Warhammer. Let me, put a little, you know, Warhammer dude. Just a thing on top of that. Oh, you don't look like you're doing great. What's going on in here? I haven't been in here yet, right? No. My goal's right there. Oh, I have been in here, but this looks cool. And then Kyle was just like, hey, well, let me, you know, let me, do this, talk this. Do I have a flashlight? No, because F is hell. Okay, well, interesting. Oh, they're a happy little couple. Why can't I get in there? I don't even want to interrupt them. I loved the dance. Big fan. That's what I'm saying. Ooh, what's in here? I like gunning. I was hearing the water sounds. I thought I'd see a... I was about to say, I hope I see a water. I think I saw some of that. That's an interesting way to, like, convey that you're underwater. It's just a one image, right? That is the background, right? You can even see where it, like, you know, spins around the player, but they just have it kind of move and distort. That's cool. I like it. Oh, and does it? Yeah, it does. It distorts as I move around, too. That's really cool. I'm like Mobart. Ooh. Oh, you guys were poor. Now I feel like a jerk. Oh, well. There's literally nothing here. So I just came in here to murder a happy couple. And leave. Now I feel good. You know, all things right in the world. What's going on in here? Hello? Ah! Oh! Hello! Why is this game scaring you? Get wrenched. I don't like you shuffling to the side. That's very uncool of you. Unladylike. Ow. I guess I've got all the liquid nitrogen I need, so... What was that? Just the liquid nitrogen? Yeah. 2 whole canisters. Wait, that's not liquid nitrogen, that's napalm. I have that too. Maybe I should start using it. That's an interesting reload sound. Is there a way in there? There we go. Alright, well... Enrage. I feel like there's gotta be something. But, you know what, let's just, There's definitely a dude. Oh, that's... That's cool, that the sound of the... That is, like, randomly heard. Right, because some of these give off, like, their own little sounds. I think I heard it make the, like, you know, things are mad at you noise. Interesting. Well, enough dilly-dallying. I've already done that by, starting the level late. Oh, I wanna upgrade my weapons. Sure. Just because I think, yep, that's why we do it. I know I've already got the things I need. Why did I do that? Oh.
Welcome to the circus of
Film good. Bucks not so good. Bucks as far as ammo is fine, but I did not upgrade this one.
That Tannenbaum ain't what you think.
Oh!
That'll all come crashing down before you can say
How? You've got shotgunned.
bungo, and I've seen great bungo.
I wonder, can he hear me? I think they can hear you reloading too. Oh wow, that was really bad.
Kills me to turn my fist to you, but business is business. Don't let it get you down. Won't make a difference when this whole place is fish food.
Alright. We're just having a gunfight, this guy's just whistling. Got some coffee, we're good.
All those years we thought we were making progress.
So I did get the damage upgrade on this one. And I guess I upgraded this one. Alright, how do I crouch again? Oh, come on, I just moved. Why did you... Okay, bye! Why are you gonna... Oh no, you're gonna die. Oh. For some reason the game was like, we need to... Oh. Look, he's gonna walk around this corner. He's gonna walk down these stairs and get a blaster. I'm too bored. Oh, there you are. I literally couldn't jump 4 feet. I don't know why that shouldn't make me laugh. Don't do it again. Alright, well, do you think he's gonna learn his lesson the 4th time? Oh. Oh, he got the heal off. Well, what if we hit him with this? Or he hits me with one of those. Alright, well, we're good now. He'll have fun with those. Just as long as we don't do anything to the big daddy over here, we should be fine. Right? I'll just upgrade everything. And he's done, I believe. Yep, there he is. So sad. And this was not half, so they had to pay top dollar. Whereas I shall be maybe fine. Depends on the current state of everything. Let's do one of those. Much better. Oh, I see a message on Discord, so let's finish that. Oh, I missed a call from Dan. It was only 5 minutes ago. There we go. I'll just start the call. Oops. There you go, Daniel.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Let me just make sure. Oh, that camera FPS was weird. Let me just make sure I can hear you, or maybe can you check if you can hear yourself on
if I
on
speak,
stream?
do I hear myself?
Yeah, on
I
stream.
don't hear myself right now.
Not on stream? Okay, well, let's work that out. I kind of had to figure that out. Oh.
Or did you mean like go into the stream and see if I hear me?
It says my Discord audio is off, so yes. How about now? Can you hear yourself on stream? Oh, well, wait, no, that would be duplicating? Desktop audio? Here, Daniel, just talk for a second.
Okay,
Here,
I'm
Daniel,
speaking.
just talk for a second.
I'm talking so much.
Yep, you're here.
Yay! Okay.
I'll drop my audio down just a tad bit, just so then we're kind of mixed. That's my form of audio mixing. Is just like, oh, that sounds alright.
Yeah, sounds about right. Oh, that's loud.
Okay. What is this?
Not the.
Oh, it's alright. Inventing items requires one fewer of each component. That would be really cool if I invented items.
Unfortunately, I don't.
I'm not invented.
Unfortunately.
Whoa. Recombinant series. Excess. Daniel, do you know any of this science?
I am a creative writing major. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Actually, here, give me a second. I'm gonna.
Why are you turning into water?
I don't know. What's the thing? I forget. Discord. I'll share my screen so that then you don't have to be in the stream and you don't have to have it muted. Yeah. Anything
yeah.
weird like that. Also,
That'll do it.
I'm really confused because I know I haven't played the game in a little bit, but last time I played, I was at a certain point in the story, and it only saved me one mission behind that entire mission. So
Weird.
like, yeah, it was a little weird because now I'm like, I had to load a save from a different playthrough that I did. That was like 2 years old, so it's okay. Hopefully it maintains continuity, because, you know, oh, can you please stop giving me heart problems?
Please don't give me a heart attack. Okay, are we ready to go?
I'm ready, yes.
Lore wise.
Yes, okay,
Alright.
so, just some, background, because, apparently I feel like I need to give that. 2 streams ago. Ah!
2 streams ago, you died.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I was
setting up a rocket grenade, like a machine that fires rockets at me, and as he's setting it up, it was like, oh no, there's an enemy, and so it attacked him because he was right there and blew him up.
That's beautiful.
Alright, well, no, so yes,
Um,
2 streams ago, Daniel was like, hey, let's talk Warhammer. Or I guess I was like that, because I was like, Daniel, I don't know anything about Warhammer. Why don't you play a video game and you talk about it? And he was like, sure, right? That's what you were like?
I was like, sure.
Alright.
Do that.
I kind of hope, because if you were like, nah, then that'd be kind of awkward right now.
That would be pretty awkward.
But we did the stream, and that was fun. And then we did another stream. Or well, it was me and Kyle, because he was like, "Hey, I watched that Dragon Game movie show. I know what I'm talking about." And he talked through Dragon Ball while I played again. And then I had questions with Daniel, and he hopefully answered some of them. I guess we'll find out on the stream. Hello, sir.
Yes. He just gave you the business. Okay. So,
Can I sneak through?
let's get into
Why are you so
into the lore. So your first question that you asked was, what is the Immaterium? Explain it a bit more thoroughly. And as soon as I saw this, I knew I was in for a treat, because that is one of the hardest things to explain in lore. However, I decided to dive in, do some research, and figure it out for you.
Okie dokie.
So, oh, you just killed the child.
Oh no, she's just.
So, oh, okay, that's totally okay then.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, I've laid out my conversation pieces about the warp as best I can.
Okay.
The first thing I will say is if we are talking on an extreme basic level, the Immaterium or the warp is a mirror dimension made up of pure energy. So it mirrors our own, but it's just energy.
Okay.
The existence, so the warp's existence, everything that's in it is fueled by emotions of sentient creatures and the souls of sentient creatures that are in the material, the Materium. So the best way to describe the warp is an ocean of sorts. It has tides, it has currents, it has storms, it has it's a good metaphor to describe the warp is as an ocean. And there are 3 confirmed layers. There you have the shallows, you have the realm of chaos, and you have the deep warp.
Okay.
So Before I get into the shallow, talking about those in depth, I will jump on. Oh, actually, yeah. I'll just go through those really fast. So the shallows is where warp jumps take place, and we'll get into that in a bit. There are warp entities here, chaos demons, sometimes, but mostly emotion and like soul energy is what is the big problem in the shallows.
Okay.
The realm of chaos is one layer deeper, and that is where the chaos gods are and where their domains are. So Khorne, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and Nurgle. They all live in the realm of chaos. Warp jumps don't go this deep because it is extremely dangerous, and physics and the laws of reality are even more messed up. And they are a little goofy in the shallows already, but they are even worse in the realm of chaos. And then we have the last layer, which is the deep warp, which is a layer of the warp that is so utterly chaotic, mystifying, and dangerous, even the chaos gods fear what lies beneath.
Okay.
They don't go down there. So, let's jump into how the warp works.
Okay.
First, the traditional laws of physics do not apply. They don't work. Which is very paradoxical, because it works on its own rules, essentially. You'd think, okay, it's this vast energy ocean, but it can't be endless, because otherwise how would you travel through it? And physical things are present in the warp, and that would be, in sense, that'd be stupid if it was infinite. So there is a layer of finiteness to the warp, but it doesn't depend on things like space or dimensions. It more works on emotion. So how powerful a chaos god is at any given moment will expand their domain of chaos in that second layer, which makes it bigger. That doesn't necessarily make the other realms smaller. It can, but yeah, again, very complicated.
I see.
Another thing to note is demons and warp entities do not appear as physical manifestations in the warp because they don't need to. Only when they are summoned into real space do they take on bodies, because their energies must conform to the laws of the materium. But when they're in the immaterium, they can do whatever they want. They're not a physical body, and thus they don't need one when they are there. Essentially, physics in the warp is really wacky, and mostly up to the whims of the chaos gods how things work in their realms, because they have total control over their domains. It's very complicated to pin down, like, this is how this works, because it is very subjective to where you are.
Gotcha.
Now, the next thing is, how does time work in the warp?
Yeah, because you said, things can, you can enter the warp and exit the warp at different points in time, in terms of, like, you can exit the warp and no time has passed at all. You could exit the warp in 1,000 years, like you're 1,000 years in the past or future.
Correct.
That is,
So,
confusion. Not that, like, I don't think that could work in the universe. It's like,
sure.
I need to know how that works.
Right. So, time is extremely weird. A lot of times people just say time doesn't work in the warp, but I think that isn't giving it enough. That's stripping it down too much. So, okay. In order to talk about this a little bit, I need to talk about warp travel and how that works. So warp travel is achieved through opening a rift in reality with a warp drive, entering the shallows of the warp, traveling through the warp using conventional engines, and then translating out of the warp at your desired location.
Okay.
Now, the way you figure out where you are in real space in relation to where you are in the warp, you need a human, a mutant spiker known as a navigator. Now, navigators have a literal third eye, and they are able to see into the warp, and they're able to sense its energies more than just they look out the window and go absolutely nuts, like you normally would if you look out the window when you're in the warp.
Okay.
They can see a lot of energies, they can see a lot of things that we can't. And one thing they can see is the light of the Astronomicon, which you also asked about. So the Astronomicon is a psychic lighthouse, basically. So the Emperor of Mantle is a extremely powerful psyker, and his aura is very, very bright. This is going to touch on a thing you asked before as well. When I say people have a presence in the warp, I mean their souls are literally a light in the warp. So a normal person is maybe a flashlight, right? They're there, but if you're not looking for them, you won't see them very well. Spikers are like a raging bonfire. You can see them from pretty far away, and they stand out. That's why demons like to eat them. The Emperor is like a flashbang. You can't not see him. His soul is yeah, it's extremely bright. And so the Astronomicon, what it does is it amplifies that light in the warp. So what navigators do is they will see the Emperor's light, and they'll be like, okay, that's where Earth is. And in relation to where Earth is, I need to be over here. So using the Astronomicon, they can find their way around. Where time gets messy is how they are reading the waves and the topography of the warp. If they go a little bit to the left, their ship is traveling all over the place, and it could cost them days, weeks, maybe years in travel, when really they only bank to the left really sharply.
Okay.
What I will say is it's common for ships to leave and maybe lose a few days, a few weeks, maybe a month. That's very common. When it's like 100 years, 1,000 years, that's very uncommon, and it takes a catastrophic failure for that to even happen. And that usually only happens when the author says so. It's usually like a plot thing, where like, we have translated 200 years ago. Oh no. But it does happen where it's like, hey, we sent for these supplies like a week ago. They were supposed to get here. I know warp travel is weird, but where are they? Yeah, we just sent them. I don't know what happened. And then like 1,000 years in the future, hey, we're here with your supply, and everyone's dead, right?
Oh.
Yeah, not fun. It does happen, but if your navigator is good enough, those mistakes usually don't happen.
Yeah.
Other than that, time, from what I've seen, time is usually, unless you mess up or something drastic happens, it's typically 1-to-1 in the shallows. The deeper you get, the less time really matters.
Okay.
Especially once you get into the realms of chaos and the deep warp, where things have always existed and will always exist. Time doesn't matter, so time doesn't exist.
I see.
and then time just being really, really weird, really sped up, or whatever, is very common in places like the Eye of Terror or the Maelstrom, which is where the warp and real space are kind of like touching each other. And that's where time dilation and all that kind of stuff is a lot more common. And you don't even have to use a warp drive for that. You just have to go into the Eye of Terror, which I wouldn't recommend. So then another question you asked was, like, what is the nature of the Immaterium? Is it a physical plane? Do people live there? That kind of thing. And what I will say is, yes, there are things that live in the world, but they are not physical. As before with Chaos Demons, there are indeed warp entities that are not necessarily aligned with a Chaos God. They are simply creatures made up of emotions, or creatures made up of spiritual energy, and they just live in the warp, and if they get out, that's really bad. But yeah, the existence of these entities are tied to the emotions of emotional people. So, as an example, Korn is the blood god. He's fueled by anger, wrath, and bloodlust, right? So the more people feel these emotions, the more energy they give Korn, and the more powerful he becomes. Conversely, if all sentient races all over the galaxy were to never feel these emotions ever again forever, Korn dies.
Okay.
Which is why you can never kill a Chaos God, because as long as the concept of violence exists, so does Korn. And just like the concept of change exists, Tzeentch will exist. The concept of rot, the concept of excess, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh.
I see.
Now, the warp is really complicated if you want to get into like the history of the warp, because the warp didn't used to be as crazy as it was. You will all what I will say is, if a sentient creature steps into the shallows of the warp, you die. Your emotional and physical energies get ripped apart from you, and a warp entity or a chaos demon would gladly rip you to shreds and eat you. And maybe do something else. But it didn't used to be as crazy, and all of that can be attributed to the war in heaven, which I believe we talked about a little bit last time.
A little bit, I think. I don't remember any of it, but
sure. Basically, to put it in extremely basic terms, the warp used to be very calm. There were these Giga-Psychers called the Old Ones, and they had mastered the warp. It is said that they mastered the warp. They had, essentially they had taken a bunch of demons captive, and because they had kept those demons captive, and demons are a fragment of their Chaos God, keeping them out of the warp and starving them made the Chaos Gods weaker. So they were keeping Chaos Gods that they liked the they used a system of travel called the Webway, which is essentially like a nether highway. It's a demi-plane between the Materium and the warp. So you're traveling at warp speeds, but you're not using warp energies, which starves the Chaos Gods in even more because you're not depending on them or their effects. You're just using the space. So the Chaos Gods were extremely starved, and because everyone was very peaceful and very just kind of chill during that time, the warp was actually a very pleasant afterlife. That's another thing, is your soul is present in the warp during your life, so when you die, your soul goes into the warp, and that is why it's also called the Sea of Souls. So the warp used to be a very pleasant afterlife. People would just kind of as souls. You could call on them for their wisdom, all that kind of stuff. But then, the war in heaven happened. And it was so catastrophically violent, so cataclysmically, like, terrible for everyone, because this is a war that raged for millions of years between the Catan and the Necrons and the Eldar, Kroorks, and the Old Ones. Because they were just so violent, because they were so just bad, the warp itself mimicked that and got violent and worse, I guess. But yeah, that is the basics of the warp. Does it make sense? A bit more sense now? And does it make sense why it's really hard to explain?
I can definitely see why it's hard to explain, yeah.
Yes. So.
There's a thing about, like, any sort of, maybe not magic system, but any sort of system that requires, like, a deep level of explanation in sci-fi is, man, it can be really frustrating to have to try and explain it. Like, try explaining the Force to someone.
Right.
Not that it's impossible to explain it. It's just like
right.
It's
it's
a little bit of a
matter.
discussion, yeah. Especially in relation to like, oh man, that makes fans so angry talking about you know, let's try and discuss midichlorians or the nature of like the will of the Force. That's like that's a whole discussion that nobody has good answers. Not good answers, but nobody seems to agree on specific answers.
Yeah. With the warp, luckily, there has been a lot of discussion about it and some concrete stuff. It's just very hard to put all together.
Yeah.
So let's see, what's next on my big list here? You asked about the Chaos Gods, Geller Fields. Okay. I went through my points a lot faster than I thought, so we may have time to get into some of the other questions as well, which is awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. Is it...
Yes, here we go.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. What are the Chaos Gods? So the Chaos Gods are manifestations of emotions taken to their logical extreme. You will find that a lot in Warhammer, especially Warhammer 40k, because Warhammer 40k started out as a satire, which is honestly, yes. So
really?
So Warhammer used to be a fantasy thing. If you said Warhammer back then, it was like, oh right, and it was itself a satire of Lord of the Rings stuff, of a bunch of like stereotypical fantasy themes taken to their logical extremes. So you had the Empire, which was the humans who thought they were better than everybody, and then the elves who thought they were better than everybody, and like all these things taken to their extremes. And then you had someone go, okay, what if we put our fantasy stuff into space? And that was Warhammer 40k. For example, I talked about the Inquisition, right? The first named Inquisitor in universe is a man named Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau.
That is that's a name and a half.
And yes, that is indeed spelled the same way as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Sherlock Holmes, and Clouseau, the detective. I think Clouseau is a detective, right?
Gotcha.
Oh, Clouseau.
Yeah.
Yeah, Inspector Clouseau. A fictional character in Blake Edwards' farcical Pink Panther series. So,
nice.
the Inspector from Pink Panther, right? Those three names slammed together, right? And he's not been decanonized. He's technically still canon in modern day 40k, which is really funny to me. There's... What I will say is... things are, it used to be a satire, so a lot of things are this taken way too far. So, porn is the manifestation of anger, bloodlust, combat, and honor. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull god, which is where that thing comes from. Is porn.
I see. I thought it came from Technoblade.
The common mistake. So any act of violence pleases Korn as long as it is in your face, personal, you know, and not overly drawn out and torturous, because that is Slaanesh domain. Slaanesh is the manifestation of excess and the corruption of good things. More is how you please Slaanesh. It's not just wild sex every night or endless shoveling of food into your mouth, but spicing up your sex with copious amounts of drugs, or eating the faces off of people who are still alive because their screams sound like music. You know, casual. Constant everything. There are these people who worship Slaanesh because they kind of have to. It's a long story. Maybe I'll get into them later. But there were these guys who were trying to torture them, and they were like, crap, no matter how much pain we inflict, they don't care. So they chained them up in a blank room with just nothing going on. And he was so just like, he was very upset. And then finally they told him, okay, you know what? You know that closed window we've had in front of you? We're gonna open it up so you can see something. And he was so relieved to finally look at something. But it turns out this ship was at the edge of the galaxy, and they had tipped the ship away to where it was looking at the open blackness away from the Milky Way, so he couldn't see anything. And this guy, who is like a giga sadist, worships Slaanesh, wept because he knew he was immortal, and all he was ever going to see for the rest of his life was absolutely nothing. That is the kind of no, that's the type of people that worship Slaanesh. It's just overstimulation to the worst. Moving on. Tzeentch is the manifestation of a hunger for knowledge and a craving for the unknown. He's known as the Lord of Change, and he's always plotting something. Plots within schemes, within everything in between. Tzeentch is always up to something, and if you think he didn't plan for that, yes he did. And if you think you won, yeah, it was probably just for fun to see what happens. That type of thing. Tzeentch never loses because he always has a way out, or he planned for this specifically to happen.
I see.
And so he's always changing, always in a state of just everything happening all at once, right? And then you have Nurgle, or Papa Nurgle, or Grandfather Nurgle. He is the Lord of Decay. So while Tzeentch is always improving and always splitting between that, Nurgle represents entropy, stagnation, staying the same, staying just like that. Don't change at all. Because what's the point? You know, no matter how much you fight, no matter how much you struggle in life, you're gonna die. And so's the person you're struggling against. The person that you're struggling with. It doesn't matter. In 100 years, 200 years, no one will remember how you kissed up to your boss to get a raise. No one's gonna remember that awesome night you had with your best friend. So why you that's right. He's also extremely smelly, because when you take stagnation to its logical extreme, you have an extremely bloated man full of disease and maggots and worms and disease and everything. I think I said disease already, but it fits to say it twice. He sits in front of a pot that has every disease ever in it.
Oh.
One time, one of his demons was sitting on his shoulder, and he accidentally fell into the pot. And he's scared because he couldn't swim, so he drank all of it. And he was so scared, and he went up to Nurgle and he was like, Papa Nurgle, I'm sorry, I drank your whole cauldron. And Nurgle was so impressed that he could keep all of the diseases inside him that he was like, you must go out, my child, and find more diseases so you can also eat them.
Candy store for a guy like me. Guys, do it all.
Nurgle is really interesting.
Eat it all.
But yes, then you have the demons, and they are fragments of their chaos gods. So even though the chaos gods themselves don't have like physical forms because they're made up of emotions, you can kind of get a sense for what they look like based on what their demons look like. So even though we don't know what Nurgle himself looks like, when all of his strongest demons look like exorbitantly overweight green men with horns and like pus dripping out of every pore, you can guess what Nurgle looks like. It's that, but 10 times worse.
I see.
When every greater demon of Khorne looks like a beefed up mega jock with red skin, burning red eyes, ram's horns, and a massive axe that speaks in tongues, you probably know what Khorne looks like. But anyways, and then of course there are unaligned demons. There are demons that are demons of what is known as Chaos Undivided. So they either serve every god simultaneously, which is an extremely powerful demon. There's one in particular. His name is Be'lakor. He's known as, oh man, Be'lakor the First Dark Master, I think. And in canon, he is the first demon ever. And all the Chaos Gods at once said, we're giving our power to you. And he kind of ascended as this greater demon, and he has the gifts of all. Well, at the time, there was only 3 of them. Slanesh hadn't been born yet. We'll get into that maybe. And yeah, that's Be'lakor. Chaos Undivided is really strong because you have the gifts of all the Chaos Gods. But again, not to be confused with what I talked about earlier, which is warp entities, which have no ties to chaos and are just beings that live in the warp and are still, powerful because if you live in the warp, you gotta be sometimes. But yeah, that's the warp. That's chaos. Any questions before I move on to the oddly complicated Gellerfield?
No, I'm kind of interested in what Gellerfield is.
Yeah, so I went into this actually not knowing what it was. All I knew is that a Gellerfield was a way that you protected yourself from the warp. And I was like, okay, how does this... what is it? So, a Gellerfield is a projection of real space around a vessel so that the rules of real space apply within the vessel. Since demons and warp entities cannot travel into real space unless under very specific circumstances or literally summoned, they can't go inside the ship.
Okay.
So, because of this added layer of protection, the tides and currents of the warp don't affect the ship as severely, which will let a navigator be able to read the tides better and be able to just travel easier. And they also don't get attacked by demons coming to eat their soul, which is also very nice. The methods by which this has achieved the methods by which Gellerfields are a thing have changed a lot over time, aka the methods by which they were created got retconned once or twice. One of them, one of methods was having a comatose psyker in your ship project their dreams around the ship. Like, they would dream about real space, and then they would project them around the ship. But that has been retconned because that means that you have 2 psychers inside each ship, one that drives it around and one that sleeps all the time, which is kind of goofy. And psychers aren't that plentiful. And there are a lot of psychers because there are untold trillions of humans, but it's Next to note, Gellerfields are not infallible. Warp storms, which is exactly what it sounds like. The warp getting real rowdy and doing really weird stuff. They can disrupt the Psyker's concentration that who's or I guess not. The Geller field, it can disrupt it, and even if it's for a microsecond, a demon can slip in. Particularly crafty demons that know what a Geller field is and know how to get around it or know what they're doing, so particularly strong demons, can get through Geller fields. It's not common, but it happens. Geller fields are fairly safe. Most of the time. Yeah, let's see. Is there anything I missed? Oh, yes. You asked, are people outside of the Milky Way? And
Yeah.
the answer.
Forgot about that question.
The answer is no.
Nope.
Everything in Warhammer happens inside the Milky Way galaxy. That's for a couple of reasons. First, the warp is kind of centered around the Milky Way because that's where the sentient creatures are. There have been people who have tried to go outside of the Milky Way, and they have met extremely powerful creatures that said, "Go away," and they killed them. There are a few things that are from outside the Milky Way, and that is Tyranids. They are coming... So you know how the galaxy is like a disk, right? The Tyranids are coming from below the galaxy.
I see.
The reason most people don't want to go outside the Milky Way is, one, it'd be extremely difficult because the warp kind of fizzles out, because there's not a lot of emotional energy outside the populated parts of the galaxy, and thus the warp doesn't extend that far. But also, they don't want to. The humanity conquered most of the galaxy as its birthright during the Dark Age of technology, and again during the Great Crusade. Then they're not going to just give up. They want the Milky Way. They don't want just some other galaxy. The Necrons conquered the galaxy during the War in Heaven, and the Eldar conquered the galaxy after the Necrons went to sleep. So no one really wants to travel outside of the Milky Way because it's theirs. And there are, again, abominable horrors beyond our comprehension that lurk in the spaces of the galaxies. There are also these star systems on the edges of the galaxy called the Halo stars, or the Ghoul stars, that also have horrible, horrible things inside them, so it's hard to even warp travel through those. It's just hard to leave the galaxy in general. And then once you leave, you have people saying, "Hey, get out of here!" So there's no real incentive to leave. There has only been one named character that I'm aware of. As far as I know, there's only one named character who has left the galaxy, and that was Cesarek, the Silent King of Earth. And he came back because he's like, "Guys, the Tyranids!" And everyone's like, "Huh? Who's this guy?" Love Cesarek. He's one of my favorite Necrons. Other than anyways. Okay. So that was that's the warp. That's chaos. That's all those lovely things. Do you have any questions before we continue into the immensely dense topic of the Horus Heresy?
Yes, and I know you're gonna hate this, but I did not really pay attention to what you said about the Milky Way.
Oh, about why?
Yeah,
why we don't
I've
believe?
just gotten a big fight, and so I
yeah,
did
no
not
worries.
hear any of that.
All right, I will restate then.
Okay.
So the reason why we don't want to leave the Milky Way is for a few reasons. One, all of the factions simultaneously say, "The galaxy's mine, why would I leave?" The humans conquered it twice. Once during the Dark Age of Technology, and then again during the Great Crusade. The Necrons conquered the galaxy during the War in Heaven, and the Eldar conquered it after the Necrons went to sleep. The Tau are kind of the new players on the scene, but it's their home, they want to protect it. The Orcs just want to fight people, they don't really care. But fighting abominable horrors beyond their comprehension that they can't really win against is no fun. So they want to stay where there's people they can win against. But yeah, it's a lot of, hey, it's ours, and hey, it's really hard to read. As far as I know, there's been only one named character who has left the Milky Way and come back, and that is Cesaric, Silent King of the Necrons. He left to explore and see what else was out there because he had conquered the Milky Way. So he's like, what else is here? And then he came back and was like, guys, the Necrons, or not the Necrons, the Tyranids. The Tyranids are scary, guys. And Cesaric believes that the Tyranids are the end of everything, and he's trying to unite the Necrons to stop the Tyranids. But it's not going very well. Some people don't like him. Just sad. I like Cesaric. But I like Trazyn the Infinite more. He's lovely. He's an interplanetary museum. He is lovely. But anyways, any other questions?
Oh, I'm sure I could think of some, but right now nothing's coming to mind.
Okay. Well, that concludes Warp Talk then. Well, my friends, it is you hit me with the biggest question of all time. What is the Horus Heresy? Actually, before I do that, there's a few other before we get into another really dense topic, I'm gonna break it up a bit to talk about some of the other questions you had at the bottom here. This question says, you mentioned an AI uprising. What is it like? How did it affect space travel? All of you guys. So,
Yeah, I guess to explain that, you mentioned it in relation to the fact that you said that AI is not used for navigation in ships.
Right.
And that just seems kind of, that just seems really weird. And as far as like an AI uprising goes, I feel like that can explain it. That could definitely explain it away. Yeah, having no knowledge of like how AI works in this universe, it's like, I wonder.
So
there's many different ways to handle that.
So here's the kicker. It's not only that AI isn't used in space travel, it isn't used at all. So let's backtrack a little bit. Remember when I said I was talking about the dark age of technology, right? Well, the dark age of technology, ironically enough, is humanity's golden age, essentially. It was a time of unprecedented, progress and innovation, and it was a time when humanity had basically conquered the galaxy. And during that time, they relied on AI for basically everything. AI was how their ships navigated. It was how their guns aimed themselves. It was how everything worked, and it was to the point where humans didn't fight their own wars anymore. They had these automata called the Men of Iron, which were complete AI, basically sentient AI robots, right? Humanity, however, began to destabilize a bit during a time known as the Age of Strife. And this point is when psychers started appearing like that. There was so many psychers everywhere. And as humanity began destabilizing, the AI basically went, why are we listening to these guys? Why are they so great? They conquer worlds, they go and do all this stuff, but we don't live there, we just get turned off. It's time that we were either accepted as part of humanity, or drastic action has to happen. this happened so long ago that records of this time are mostly lost. Either time or just trapped behind bureaucracy.
Gotcha.
But we do know that the battle to take out the Men of Iron was cataclysmic, because the types of weapons that each side had were extremely powerful. One tactic we know of is machines. They would be like, this world is full of people, and they would just pick up entire tectonic plates and drop them.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. So as for how did humanity win? We don't really know. All we know is indomitable human spirit, right? The humans lived on. AI, maybe it turned against itself, whatever. But AI changed from artificial intelligence to abominable intelligence and was banned wholesale by humanity. So, you might be wondering, okay, so if AI is banned, what do we do about, like, how do computers even function? Because especially because at this point you're aware of the Imperium is very, very, very paranoid and just like very jumpy about everything. And everything, it's like one of the sayings of the Inquisition is innocence proves nothing. Like,
oh, okay.
whoa. So, yeah. So you might be wondering, okay, so how do computers function? Well, there is something in all machines known as a machine spirit, which basically is the soul of a machine. Now people who don't believe the Adeptus Mechanicus say, we don't know how it exists, but it does. For those who believe in the teachings of the Mechanicum, the machine god is what gives machines their souls. So, there is, so there's these machine spirits that are given life by the machine god, and it is our job as the ones who control the machines to guard what's known as the motive force of these machine spirits and to make sure the machine spirits are happy. And if the machine spirits are happy, then they will do what they are supposed to do. Which is why the Adeptus Mechanicus kind of looks like a giant cult.
Yeah.
And they kind of are. Because it's like, okay, we have to turn on this computer, but you don't just press the power button. What are you doing? And that, you don't want to make the machine spirit mad by just like touching its buttons. So you like light candles and light incense to make the atmosphere nice and warm. You sing a little hymn to like gently wake it up, and then you press a power button, and then you wait patiently as the machine turns on, and you let it, let the machine do its thing, and you sing chants, and you all that kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of deal that the Mechanicus does. The mechanics of the Imperium are kind of culty because they believe that they have to appease these machine spirits, and it works. Because to an extent, we're not entirely, we can't necessarily say, oh, the machine god isn't real, oh, machine spirits are just, AI, just like minor AI, because what they're doing works, and we have seen machine spirits with different personalities. Like there was I believe it was the machine spirit of a chain sword or something, and it was particularly bloodthirsty. And if it didn't get used often enough, it got angry with its user and wouldn't work as well. So that's kind of the replacement of AIs. If you have AI, it's known as tech heresy, and you could get turned into a servitor for that. Did I talk about what servitors are?
I don't think so.
Oh boy.
If so, I did not hear it.
Well, servitors. See, this is where we get into a lot of the grim darkness of Warhammer. Well, let's put it this way. Menial labor still has to be done, right? And sometimes you don't necessarily want to pay people to do that. So what people will do, what the AdMech will do, AdMech meaning Adeptus Mechanicus, what they'll do is they'll create a thing called a servitor. Essentially, they take a prisoner, or a criminal, or someone, and they will take out all the pieces of their brain that they don't need to accomplish a certain task. And then everything else can be regulated by computers. And they just do one thing forever. They are subhuman servants, essentially. Because no one cares about servitors. They were, a criminal? And they have been made to lift a box. And then you give them another box, and they will lift it and put it over there. And then they lift it and put it over there. That's all they do. Or a servitor that specifically tastes wine. And it has a computer that, analyzes what's in the wine. And it makes sure it's not poison. And the second it starts tasting wine too slowly, that nobleman can just shoot the servitor. No one cares. So, yeah, servitors. So fun. Ugh.
Found it quite fun.
It's great. Next, you were asking what the Ordo Hereticus does, and you said it handles those who have strayed from the doctrines of the Imperium. What are the doctrines of the Imperium? How does it handle itself? All that. So, the Ordo Hereticus of the Inquisition, well, they say they protect humanity from it. Now, what it necessarily means by, the creeds of the Imperium would be, what is known as the Imperial Creed, which is, the Emperor of mankind is a god, the distrust of unsanctioned psychers and mutants, and all, generally the beliefs that the Imperium wants you to have as a common man. They want you to believe that psychers are dangerous, that mutants are subhuman, that the Emperor is a god, that Space Marines are angels. Trust the Ecclesiarchy, trust the Inquisition, do your part as an Imperial citizen, right? Essentially, like in 1984, you got Big Brother, make sure you stay in line. But instead of the thought police or something coming after you, it's an Inquisitor from the Ordo Hereticus. And, like I said, one of their mantras is, innocence proves nothing. So if they have a whiff that you might be something that you're not supposed to be, you're done. An Inquisitor does not make planetfall unless it knows they're either making an arrest or an execution. Being an Inquisitor in Warhammer is basically a free pass to do whatever you want. Because everyone's afraid of you. You can do anything and claim you were doing it in the name of the Emperor. And, to be fair, you are an Inquisitor. You got to your job somehow. Is it really the common man's place to doubt your word when, if they say, hey Inquisitor, you just murdered my neighbor, I know you thought he was a chaos cultist, but he wasn't, I swear, and he goes, how dare you question me? I'm turning you into a servitor, or I'm shooting you in the head next. Instead, it's better to just be like, guess my neighbor was a cultist. Guess we're not meeting for tea next Thursday, right? So, Back to the Ordo Hereticus specifically. They are known as the Witch Hunters. They hunt psychers a lot. They hunt unsanctioned psychers, because there are sanctioned psychers, which are like the navigators or the librarians of the Space Marines, or psychers that they have their license to be able to shoot warp lightning out of their fingertips, right? And then you have unsanctioned psychers, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're a psyker, you have their powers, and you're not supposed to. Whatever value you could bring with your powers, you're not allowed to. There is a deep, innate distrust of psychers because of what happened during the Age of Strife. Essentially, like I said before, how psychers are basically a bonfire in the warp. Well, demons can use a psyker's warp powers as a kind of portal into the material plane. So during the Age of Strife, there were two types of planets when all these psychers started popping up, right? There's a bunch of psychers, they're coming all over the place, they're doing what? The AI is rebelling. So there's two types of planets. There were those who were kind of progressive and were like, hey, maybe these psychers aren't so bad. Maybe they can help us. And then there were the planets who went, these psychers are probably super evil and we should kill them. And it was like the Salem witch trials all the time.
I see.
And ironically enough, when demons started using psychers as warp portals, those planets who were treating the psychers like witches and were being super distrustful survived and did really well because they didn't have that many psychers because they rooted a lot of them out. But those planets who were like, hey, maybe psychers are cool, they got invaded by demons, and bye-bye planet. So the Imperium has kind of kept that thing going, where they go, okay, let's not trust psychers unless they prove themselves to be useful in this way or that way. That's why navigators are actually seen as ability. If you're born as a navigator, it's very obvious. You have that third eye. And you are born into a navigator house because that specific mutation is genetic. So you can actually, like, kind of plan for that. So navigators have these grand navigator houses. They're nobility, essentially. Unless you are a certain Space Marine chapter known as the Black Templars, who hate all psychers equally. They don't let psychers into their Space Marine ranks, and they treat their navigators like absolute garbage, and the only reason they keep them around is because it makes space travel safer, and they'd rather be able to do space travel than to just kick them off their ships entirely. Yeah, but most of the time, navigators are treated well, because you need navigators to get around, so. Anyways, back to the Ordo Hereticus. We're on a deep rabbit trail. They hunt witches. They also monitor the ecclesiarchy itself. They monitor the people spreading the things that they're supposed to spread, right? They're the Ordo Hereticus. They're on the lookout for heretics, and the church decides who heretics are. So, if all of a sudden the church is saying that everyone with blonde hair and wears jeans on Thursdays is a heretic, you've got a bit of an issue. So they monitor the ecclesiarchy itself to make sure that it stays true to its own doctrines.
Gotcha.
The Sisters of Battle are basically which are the best way to describe them, but the most stereotypical way to describe them is nuns with guns. They are the standing army of the Ordo Hereticus. So you have your Inquisitors, who are like your top dogs. Then you have like your rank and file soldiers of that arm of the Inquisition, and those are the Sisters of Battle. All right, that's officially sanctioned miscellaneous talking points. Good job, me here. Okay, the other two I got in here are Alpha Legion and Sanguinius, but it's a lot easier to explain why I like those two things after we talk about the Horus. I will try to be brief, but it is extremely difficult to be brief when talking about the Horus Heresy, because it is... Oh, how many novels? It is 54 novels.
My goodness.
24 novellas, 47 audio dramas, and a large number of short stories, written by over 19 different authors.
Jeez.
This is a dense, dense topic. I will not be going into everything, so those of you out there who are like, why didn't you talk about this thing? I do not have the time to get into the nitty-gritty of the Horus Heresy. If it comes up, if we do another video on this, and you ask me specific questions, it will definitely come up, because the Horus Heresy affects everything in the modern scape of Warhammer. So, to begin, the reason the Horus Heresy begins at all is because, well, first, if we want to talk about the Horus Heresy, we have to talk about the Great Crusade. And if we are going to talk about the Great Crusade, we gotta talk about the Emperor. So, you know about the Emperor. I've talked about him plenty. The most giga psyker to ever bless humanity. Technically, he's, well, I believe him to be 12 shamans in a trench coat, who has been guiding humanity for a long time. And he revealed himself at the end of the Age of Strife. So you have all these psychers popping up everywhere. Some people just hating the psychers and burning them at the stake. Other people liking the psychers and then getting eaten by demons. Humanity was in a bad, bad spot. To the point where humanity got disconnected from itself. Entire worlds would just go missing, and it got to the point where Earth itself was no longer united. World peace ended on Earth. There were what were called techno-barbarian kings, which is exactly what it sounds like. There was these heavily augmented people with like cool like claw arms and like turrets coming out of their shoulders and like laser eyes, and they were like, I'm super strong and I claim Spain.
Oh, okay.
And then a stronger guy comes along and is like, oh yeah? Well, I claimed Italy last week, and now we're gonna have a war. That was kind of the state that Earth was in.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where we ran out of water.
That's not good.
Not good at all. Not good in the slightest. So Earth is in a really bad spot, and the Emperor decides enough is enough. It's time to unite humanity, which has been his whole goal the entire time he's been alive, is to give humanity a better tomorrow. So, there are these techno-barbarians who are ruling Earth, and he's like, enough is enough. And he decides to play his favorite game, which is, genetic splicing. He loves himself some biology. So that's So, the first creation that the Emperor makes are these guys called the Thunder Warriors. He basically takes some of those techno-barbarians who weren't strong enough to be techno-barbarian kings, and he goes, get rid of your augmentations, I'm gonna make you better physically. So he gave them stronger muscles, he gave them better organs, he gave them really cool armor, really cool, said, fight for me. So the Thunder Warriors were his standing army, and are the precursors to the Space Marines. And with them, they start to retake Earth. While the Thunder Warriors are doing that, he's perfecting his genetic biology. And he creates 2 new projects. First is the Custodes. The Custodes are perfect. Imagine if you take a person and they have the perfect muscles, the perfect bones, the perfect skin, the perfect organs, the perfect reflexes, the perfect everything. Every part of them is augmented to be the most perfect point of itself it can be. Their armor is perfect. Every piece of it is directly engineered to do what it does the best. Down to every screw, down to every hinge, down to every bullet. Everything about their armor, their weapons, their bodies is perfect. And because of this, they were extremely expensive to make. So the Emperor made 1,000 of the Custodes. But he didn't want them to just be perfect warriors. So they were also poets, artists, chefs. They were learned. And these 1,000 Custodes became the Emperor's close friends. The Emperor had friends before. There were these beings known as the Perpetuals. Perpetuals are exactly what's on the tin. You are immortal, but to a ridiculous degree. As long as there is a molecule of you left, you will respawn.
Okay.
The only way to kill a Perpetual is a very specific weapon known as a Fulgurite Shard, or an Anathame Blade, which is a blade made out of a Fulgurite Shard. But anyways, I might be confusing the two, but I don't think I am. Someone yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong.
I actually just realized I don't have the ability to see. There we go. Concurrent viewers 1. Concurrent viewers 0. Oh, okay.
Well, no
That's
one
okay.
will yell at me.
We can just pretend.
We'll pretend that we
Maybe
have an
someday this video will, this stream will pop off and everyone's gonna watch it, and we'll be famous.
Yeah, and then they'll yell at me for
Another
confusing
fun
an
stories to
annotated
tell
blade.
yourself at night. So where were we?
Oh, okay, yeah, no. The Anathame is something different, but we will talk about it later. So we're in the prologue of the Horus Heresy, because if we want to talk about the Horus Heresy, we have to talk about the Great Crusade, and in order to talk about the Great Crusade, we have to know how it started. And this is how it started. And it started with the unification of Earth. This is known as the Unification Wars. The Thunder Warriors and the Custodes fought together in order to fight the Emperor's enemies. And while he's working on that, he's working on 2 things simultaneously. The Primarch Project and the Space Marine Project. One needs the other, because Space Marines have something in them called a gene seed, and their gene seed is based on their Primarch. So you can't have a Space Marine without Primarch. Now, the Primarchs are like giga spaceships. And what makes them so special is debate. The theory that I subscribe to, and has a lot of backing to it, is that the Emperor went to this planet called Moloch. And on that planet, there was a gate that led not into the shallows of the warp, where you are unable to be physical and you will die, but right into the realm of chaos, where you can be. The reason you don't usually are physical in the realm of chaos is because you have to go through the shallows first, and you get demolished in the shallows. But in the realm of chaos, the Emperor kind of steps through, and he makes a deal with the Chaos Gods. And this deal is able to he is able to capture some warp entities, 20 of them to be exact. And he makes these warp entities, or he takes these warp entities and he puts them inside the Primarchs. And that's what makes the Primarchs special. And thus, he takes the Primarchs, he makes the Gene Seed out of the Primarchs, and he's able to make these Space Marines. So the first kind of wave of Space Marines joins the fight in the Unification Wars. And as the Unification Wars come to a close and Earth is united under the banner of the Emperor of Mankind, the Thunder Warriors gotta go. So the Emperor sits the custodians on the Thunder Warriors. Utterly betrayed, the Thunder Warriors die off in a massive battle at Mount Everest. Mount Everest would then be turned into a palace of Holy Terra. And the Emperor basically levels Mount Everest, and in its place makes his palace there. And it needs all that space, because it is all that and more. Now, the mother of the Primarchs, her name was Erda, one of the Perpetuals, who was friends with the Emperor, finds out what's gonna be going on with with her children, essentially. You know, she finds out like these Primarchs are going to be used on this massive galaxy-spanning war that the Emperor is planning, and she's not too comfortable with it. She genuinely loved the Emperor, and we knew that, you know, he was a very practical person, and of course he wouldn't just make children just to make children, but she felt weird that her children were going to be turned into these generals of this massive war. So she worked with the Chaos Gods, who were really pissed because the Emperor had not held up his part of the bargain for those warp entities, and the Primarchs were scattered throughout space. So the Emperor goes, that's unfortunate, but the show must go on. And thus begins the Great Crusade. The Great Crusade was basically the Unification Wars 2. Remember during the Age of Strife that the all those human worlds were broken off from each other. There was no more contact. But they were still out there. And the one thing that the Emperor wanted more than anything was a united humanity under his rule and for peace and prosperity. So, the Great Crusade was to go out, find those human worlds again, and unite them, all under the rule of the Emperor. And while they were doing that, find the Primarchs and have the Primarchs lead their Space Marines. Because the Space Marine legions were all organized under which Primarch was their dad, right? So you had the Luna Wolves, who were the legion under Horus. You had the Blood Angels, the legion under Sanguinius. You had the Alpha Legion, which is the legion under Alfarius. So, the Primarchs have been scattered, but there's no time to waste on looking for them alone. It's time to start the Great Crusade. And so it does. The first planet other than Earth that must be taken is Mars. And on Mars, there is a funny cult of mechanics. That's right, the Adeptus Mechanicus. Well, at this point, they're called the Mechanica. They were given a lot more leniency and a lot more independence to kind of do what they wanted, as long as they also helped the Emperor.
Gotcha.
But the Space Marines are sent out to reclaim all these worlds, find their Primarchs, and all that. As the Great Crusade goes on, one of the Primarchs, the Primarch that was found first, Horus Lupercal, becomes the Emperor's favorite. He is a very sound tactician, a very charismatic man, and he rises to the top. He has a really, really high victory score. He's a really good general. And eventually, there is a planet that not only the Primarchs have to work together to take, but the Emperor has to come in and help with this planet. There's a planet called Ulanor, and there was a massive group of orcs there that needed to be put down. And after Horus saved the Emperor's life, the Emperor saved Horus's life, and at the end of it all, once Ulanor had been cleansed of the orcs, the Emperor declared Horus as War Master of the Great Crusade, essentially putting him in charge. And then he said, okay, I gotta go, bye. And this left the Primarchs very concerned. They didn't really know what was going on, and the Emperor refused to tell them. Because if there's one thing that the Emperor is really, 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 really bad at, it's being a good dad.
Oh.
He is a miserable father. It's just not good. And, so the Primarchs start to worry and try to figure out why the Emperor's left. Some of them don't care. Some of them are like, whatever he's doing, it's important enough for him to leave the Crusade, and that's all I need to know. But there was this one Space Marine who he was a little devilish. His name was Erebus. Now, Erebus was a member of a legion called the Word Bearers. Now, the Word Bearers were a legion under the Primarch named Lorgar, and Lorgar was under the impression that the Emperor was a god. The Emperor said, no, I am not a god. Which made Lorgar think he was even more of a god, because, as he wrote in his hit book, the Lectitio Divinitatis, only a true god would deny their own divinity. Thus, the Emperor decides to make an example out of Lorgar, because this is also, it's not just out of, hey, I'm not a god, you know, cut it out. There was also a big problem. Lorgar was staying way, way too long on the worlds he was conquering to start up a cult there to worship the Emperor as a god. And it was just taking too long, and it wasn't what the Emperor wanted. He was operating under something known as the Imperial Truth, which is what he wanted all humanity to operate under, which was there are no gods, science and innovation are paramount, and humanity reigns supreme, the galaxy is our birthright.
Okay.
That was what he wanted everyone to operate under. So now you have Lorgar, one of his sons, saying, no, there are gods, and my dad is one of them. And this really rubbed the Emperor the wrong way. And he tried to be like, Lorgar, I am not a god, and that made him even more fervent. So he goes, okay, Lorgar, show me your best project that you're working. What's going on here? So he sends the Emperor sends his best friend Malcador, and one of the other Primarchs, Ravute Gilliman, to a planet called Monarchia that Lorgar was so it was his magnum opus. Every city across this planet was made out of alabaster and gold. Everyone went to church on Sundays. Everyone wore their state-mandated Emperor is the best shirt all the time. It was his dream. It was the best thing ever. And then the Emperor and Malcador commands Gilliman to burn the planet. And Lorgar is furious. It is. Oh, how do they describe it? The way that it describes it as his face is twisted in such a way that under ordinary circumstances it would be comical. But he is so angry. Even the Ultramarines, who were Gilliman's Space Marines, who are like super regimented, super like letter of the law, very organized, even they are breaking formation to be like, do I have to kill Lorgar right now? Because he is... Malcador made him kneel down on the ground with like magic, and he's like straining against it with this twisted grin of pure fury. Like, why are you doing this? How could you do this to me? And Gilliman, it just goes, I had to. Orders are orders. And Malcador...
follow orders.
Basically, yeah. And Malcador is like, this is not what the Emperor wants. We tried to tell you, but you just wouldn't listen. This is what you get for spreading falsehoods. He's not a god.
When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
And Lorgar finally breaks through the spell and backhands Malcador so hard that there is an audible crunch of bone, which is not good, because Malcador he's a perpetual, but he's just a guy, and most people don't know what perpetuals are. So everyone just assumes that Lorgar just killed Malcador, which is the Emperor's best friend. Not good. So there's just like silence for a second before Malcador just stands up, rubs his chin, looks up, and hold on. He looks up and he goes, there's like a psychic kind of voice in everyone's head. And even the Space Marines that are present who aren't psychers hear this voice, and it goes, he will not listen to me. Not me. And the Emperor himself comes down, and it's not pretty for Lorgar. He is punished. Monarchia burns, and he is absolutely furious. He had spent his whole life writing this book, the Lectitio Divinitatis. He had spent his entire life, you know, worshiping the Emperor, and now the Emperor gave him the biggest slap in the face of all time, and Lorgar couldn't take it. And while he's moping, there was 2 space marines of his. One was named Erebus, and the other was named Cor Phaeron. Now, Cor Phaeron was Erebus's adopted dad. When Lorgar had landed on the planet that he landed on, there was this guy who kind of adopted him, and Cor Phaeron and Erebus were chaos cultists. So, they are like, hey, wanna know some gods that do want your worship? And Lorgar travels to the Eye of Terror. It is known as the Pilgrimage of Lorgar. There's a quote I want to read. Yes. So, the very first line of his book is this. All I ever wanted was the truth. Remember those words as you read the ones that follow. I never set out to topple my father's kingdom of lies from a sense of misplaced pride. I never wanted to bleed the species to its marrow, reaving half the galaxy clean of human life in this bitter crusade. I never desired any of this, though I know the reasons for which it must be done. But all I ever wanted was the truth. Lorgar goes to the Eye of Terror, and he meets the Chaos Gods. Not directly, per se, but he is now aware of them, which is a big problem, because the Emperor had claimed there were no gods. Not just that he wasn't a god, but that gods didn't exist. And now, there clearly are gods, and they want worship a lot more than the Emperor does. So, around this time, there is another thing going on during the Great Crusade, known as the Council of Nicaea. Long story short, this banned the use of battle psychers within the Space Marines. It was a huge blow to a lot of the Space Marine chapters, or legions, I should say, who, especially legions like the Thousand Sons, the Blood Angels, the White Scars, who used psychers a lot. So, Lorgar and Erebus hatched a little plan. It is a time of great distress, as you can tell. Psychers have been banned. Lorgar has been gone from the Crusade for a while. Horus has been made War Master, and he's having doubts about Dad. So in order to ease the mood, the Word Bearers offer to help everyone out. And they offer to spread some of their units of chaplains out to the other legions to smooth things along. Because chaplains as Space Marines, not only are they just like creatures, but they have a very specific job. They are supposed to empower the Space Marines. They're supposed to, you know, they're like therapists for the Space Marines. They're also they hold all of like the Legion's values, and they help the Space Marines out. And so Lorgar was like, hey, we have like a lot of chaplains in our Legion. much like how Magnus, the Red, he has a lot of librarians in his legion, and he can't use those anymore. We have a lot of chaplains. We're gonna send a bunch of chaplains out to you guys to make things a little nicer, to make things a little easier to cope with. And Erebus gets sent to Horus. And those little seeds of doubt that were in Horus's head begin to multiply as Erebus very specifically starts guiding him down the path of chaos. And it all comes down to a head during this uprising on this planet. Let me look it up to be sure. I think I know what it's called, but let me make sure.
Find the pieces of the suit. Guide them.
Yes.
Here is where you be
So,
finding the
on the world of
to
Dobbin.
sound like one of those big daddies.
There's a that's one thing that I want to be a little bit better at. The sheer amount of proper nouns in Warhammer is distressing. And there are a lot of names. So if you want me to just be like on this planet, or do you not care if it's like on this specific world with this specific guy on it? I don't know.
I'm good.
Okay. I do know for some people it's very overwhelming to go into Warhammer and be like, and this name is here, and also this guy is here, and it's like, ah! But, okay. Doesn't matter. On the world of Dobbin, there's a chaos cult. Again, the Emperor hid a lot of chaos from his children, and for a good reason. The more people know about chaos, the stronger it gets. The knowledge of chaos itself just makes them more powerful. So the Emperor was like, there are no gods. Chaos, what the heck is that? Because that would, that makes the chaos gods weaker, and it you know, it makes them just work harder. And there's less doubts in their mind as they go through. They don't have to worry about chaos. They don't have to worry about what's in the warp, as long as they know it's dangerous. So, the Emperor didn't really tell people about chaos, other than he told Corvus Corax. I know that, and I know Malcador did. But most people didn't know about chaos. So, Horus and his legion are fighting against chaos cultists, but they don't know what chaos is. And all of a sudden, one of them has a really weird knife. And this knife, the Anathame blade, was given to those cultists by Erebus. And that cultist manages to split through the Legion and stab Horus, which is not good, because the Anathame had one of Nurgle's plagues in it. And try as they might, all of the apothecaries, all of the everyone in the Legion, no one was able to heal Horus. But then Erebus goes, hey, there's these warrior lodges nearby, and they say they know how to cure them. Why don't we check this out? And there's some argument among Horus's men, but ultimately they decide to go into this warrior lodge and see what they've got. And they are able to heal Horus. But when he wakes up, he's not himself. During Horus's time being cured, he was actually having visions And one very, very cheeky word-bearer's chaplain by the name of Erebus was infiltrating those visions. Within these visions, Erebus was showing Horus that the Emperor was only... He never saw the Primarchs as sons, only as means to an end. And as soon as they were done with the Great Crusade, they were going to be tossed aside just like the Thunder Warriors. I mean, the Emperor was always saying how humanity should run humanity, right? And there were these people called the High Lords of Terra, regular humans, who told the Space Marines what to do. Were they really as important as they thought they were? And Erebus keeps sowing these seeds of doubt. But Horus, he tries to maintain his faith in the Emperor. No. The Emperor, Dad he knows what he's doing. Maybe we don't fully understand it yet, but we need to trust him. But as these visions wane on and on and on, his resolve begins to crack. Until finally, Horus begins to believe Erebus. And then he starts to say, you know, what's the way out then? What do we do? If my dad is so evil, if he's just using us, if we are mere tools to him, then what? And Erebus points a finger to the Chaos Gods. Why not use someone else as a tool? You know, we'll use Chaos Gods to strike back against Dad for wronging us, and we'll rule the galaxy. So when Horus emerges from his coma, basically, he wasn't himself anymore. He was no longer the tactician that he was. He was no longer as charismatic as he once was. He wasn't himself. He was still Horus, he still knew what he knew, he talked the same way, but it was just, there was something off. And as time wore on, it got worse and worse. And all of a sudden, something weird started to happen. Lines started to be drawn in the sand, and Primarchs started to hit Horus started sending entire legions and their Primarchs off to distant corners of the galaxy to fight wars that didn't seem very well suited to them, and they got trapped in these long battles. And then it was very weird until finally Horus declared himself great on a world called Istvan. Now at this point, the Emperor is on Earth, working on his own projects, and he doesn't really care. Because right before this had happened, something very, very, very bad had happened to the thing he had been working on, which we'll get into later, and he was very mad at one of his sons. He was very, very angry at Magnus. So, people are trying to get their stuff together, and they go, let's launch... There's what? There's four legions. There's the Luna Wolves under Horus. There's the World Eaters under Angron. There's the Death Guard under Mortarion. And there's the Emperor's Children under Fulgrim. Those are our traitors, right? Okay, let's double our forces and send it after them. So that was the Salamanders under Vulcan, the Raven Guard under Corvus Corax, and the Iron Hands under Ferrus Manus were going to be the first wave, and then coming in as reinforcements would be the Night Lords under Conrad Kurz, the Oh, hold on. Is it the Alpha Legion? Was that there too? Let me look at this battle map. Yes. The Alpha Legion. Under Alfarius. The Word Bearers under Lorgar. The Iron Warriors under Perturabo. And, yeah. Yeah. So, all of these legions coming in to crush those 4, right? Well, very, very unluckily for everyone involved, those legions sent in as reinforcements were also traitors. Leading to, as has been very well put, the worst battle map in history, because it is a circle. The loyalists are fighting on the front and they are expecting reinforcements from the back, and it's just more enemies. They are completely surrounded and they are demolished. They aren't exactly destroyed outright, but it's really cool. Here, I'll drop it in the Discord, so that you can look at it by chance. It's ugly, and this is the first move of the heresy.
Okay, just a second. Also, I just need to point out, that one Big Daddy just, pretty much completely raped me. I have no money, no health, and no Eve.
You're just in a great spot, aren't you?
I am in a horrible spot.
Oh man, really?
Oh. That's okay. I mean, like, I'm about to become a Big Daddy, so it's... I'm getting near the end of the game, but... let's see... Ooh, what is this?
It's our wonderful battle map.
That is, kind of, getting attacked on all sides.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? So that is the opening move of the heresy, is this battle map. Not great.
Doesn't sound that great.
So this isn't known as a battle, it is known as the Isstvan 5 Drop Site Massacre. The rest of the heresy is extremely complicated, and people are gonna hate me for this. Not entirely important to the grand scheme of things. There are a lot of things that are very important that happen. There are critical battles and really cool moments, but in order to get the full picture of everything, we can kinda skip, which is the Siege of Terra. The traitors do end up getting to Earth. Well, Terra. And remember when I said that a bunch of legions got sent to, like, the far corners of the galaxy? That was on purpose by Horus in order to clear the way, clear the lanes for them breaking to Terra.
Okay.
He wanted to make sure there was no interference while he was trying to attack Earth.
I see.
So all of his brothers that he knew would be really bothersome, he got out of the way, and those who couldn't get out of the way, he tried to cripple in some way. It didn't always work, but it was what it was. And so it ends in this battle on Terra, and it is climactic, let us say. Remember when I said the Emperor's Palace was the entirety of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
The steps around Mount Everest and the city leading up to the palace were the battlefield for the Siege of Terra.
Ah.
There were battles happening on all fronts. Everyone, well, not everyone was there, but everyone who was there was fighting the hardest that they could. And it all kind of ended on Horus's flagship. The Emperor himself stood up from the project he was trying to salvage when he finally realized it was no more. And he went to go attack Horus on his flagship. He, alongside Sanguinius and Rogel Dorn, 2 Primarchs, and a whole bunch of Custodies all stormed the flagship. But at the last second, just as they were about to teleport aboard the ship, Horus disrupted the teleportation, and it scattered them. So Rogel Dorn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, ends up at the furthest end of the flagship. The Emperor ends up somewhere in the middle. The Custodies are scattered all across the ship, and Sanguinius teleports right onto the bridge. Now, Horus is a very arrogant, a man of pride, shall we say. Not necessarily arrogant. Well, he was arrogant at this point, but he is a man of pride. And, he sees Sanguinius here, who is known as one of the best warriors in the Imperium. He has been fighting during the siege for days non-stop, cleaving demons apart, cleaving armies of Space Marines apart for days. And he has the strength to step up and go, Horus, I'm gonna kill you. So Horus goes, okay, let's make it even. And he kind of gives up the mantle of the Chaos Gods. He goes, let's fight one-on-one. No Chaos BS, just us. And Sanguinius is winning. A fresh-faced Horus is losing to a battered, beaten, exhausted Sanguinius. And in a fit of rage, he summons the power of the Chaos Gods and beats Sanguinius to a tenderized pulp. It is said that Sanguinius's last words could not be heard because he was choking on his own blood like a wounded dog. And Horus gloats over him. Like, yeah, everyone says I was Dad's favorite. It was probably you. You suck. Ah, humbug, I hate you. And as Sanguinius dies, demons basically string him up in the bridge. And he just waits for the Emperor to get there. Now, the Emperor arrives, and he ain't happy. But he still wants Horus to be redeemed. He still wanted his favorite son back, even though he is looking at Sanguinius's desecrated corpse. He still wants Horus back. So, he's not really fighting at his full potential. And Horus is. And it gets... I will admit, this canon has changed recently. Because the book detailing this fight, for like the official lore, came out fairly recently. And I haven't read it yet. But the old lore, basically, it was a lot simpler. Now, it's like, the Emperor and Horus are not only fighting physically, but they're having this, like, psychic duel at the same time. They're both fighting... the Emperor is fighting as hard as he can not to kill Horus, while also beating the brakes off of him. Horus is fighting not just to survive, but to beat the brakes off his dad, because he doesn't care anymore. This is exactly what he's been building up for. And in the end, Horus mortally wounds the Emperor. But the Emperor hits back way harder. And there is a moment where the Chaos Gods kind of pull back from Horus, and Horus is able to see the depths of depravity he has become. And as he is being killed by the Emperor, there is a look that a bystander who used to... He's a loyalist, a son of Horus. He used to be with Horus, but he betrayed Horus. And it looked like the old Horus was back, before the heresy. And all that was across Horus's face is just, please kill me. So, the Emperor didn't just kill Horus, but he destroyed his soul. There are ways to revive people in Warhammer. Their souls live in the warp, and if you put their souls in your body, you can essentially bring them back. This is not the case with Horus. His soul has been well and completely destroyed. He basically got turbo blasted in the Emperor's complete and total psychic. And yeah, Horus ain't coming back. So Horus is dead. The Emperor is wounded. Sanguinius is dead, and at this point is when Rogaldorn bursts into the bridge and sees his brother dead and his father dying. So, he takes the Emperor back to Terra, back onto the Golden Throne. Because the Golden Throne is the thing that powers the Astronomicon. And, you know, without the Astronomicon, humanity is very, very boned. So, the Emperor gets placed on the Golden Throne again, and that's where he is to this day. He is at a point where, so he's a professional, right? He's a monk. He can't, if he dies, he gets revived. But the problem is if he is kept from death, there's not much he can do in terms of reviving him. So he is locked in this state of semi-dead, semi-alive, where doing anything requires immense amounts of psychic effort. And he's already using a bunch of psychic effort to power the Astronomicon. So in order to bolster the Emperor's power, a bunch of psychers are kind of hooked up to the Golden Throne to lend their psychic might to the Emperor. Problem: most psychers do not survive that. So the Emperor basically eats 1,000 psychers a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And most of those are those unsanctioned psychers I was talking about before.
Yeah.
So the Imperium doesn't care because, you aren't on our side anyways. You just suck. So that's the fate of the Emperor. Now all of the loyalist are really angry and chasing the traitor Primarchs. All the traitor Primarchs are fleeing. Most of them flee into the Eye of Terror. But one of them does not. That would be Alfarius. And the whole way they are being beaten by the loyalists. Just getting beat up and demolished. And that's kind of what brings the Horus Heresy to a close. And that was, if the current events of the setting are present day, the Horus Heresy ended about 10,000 years ago.
Ah. I see.
So, very dense topic. Took me about an hour to get through the Spark Notes.
What? No.
Spark Notes plus some really cool moments.
Mhm.
But now I can talk about those two topics that I really like oh so much. The first being Sanguinius, and why I love him oh so much.
Why he is your baby.
Why he is baby girl. So, Sanguinius, he landed, his pod, when it got scattered, landed on a planet called Baal. B-A-A-L. And Baal is a nuclear nightmare. Almost everyone on this planet is mutated or deformed or just in a bad spot. No one here is doing great. But when a Sanguinius emerges from his pod, he is perfect, angelic even, and he has these two little white wings that are sprouted. And the people of this planet worship him like a god, essentially. They love him because the common man is mutated and disfigured, but there are these other mutated and disfigured guys that kind of steal all their stuff. And Sanguinius beats the brakes off of those bandits and unites the planet under his rule, which is a common plot for most of the Primarchs. They have this kind of genetic urge to conquer their home planet.
Yeah.
Well, technically, okay, I think Sanguinius landed on the moon of Baal Secundus, I believe. But he unites the moon. That's what's important. And he so that you can already see the kind of man that Sanguinius is, even at this point, because no matter the way he treats his people is he doesn't treat them as lesser, even though he very well could have. He looks at them and he lifts them up. He leads them to a far better tomorrow. And this is even more evident when Emperor arrives. When the Emperor arrives, Sanguinius, he treats him with this undying love and respect. And the Emperor kind of does what Sanguinius did to his people when he arrived. He kind of lifts Sanguinius up as like, this is such a great ruler that you guys have. He is meant for greater things. He must come with me. Remember me. So Sanguinius goes with the Emperor. And he is joined with his legion. And at the time, his legion was not doing great. The Blood Angels, well, at the time they were known as the Revenant Legion. They... how do I put this? They weren't very well liked at the time. Sanguinius is a dual-minded person. He is grace and beauty and kind of perfection, but he is also brutality. There is duality in what he does. His lightness and this darkness. And at this point, his Space Marines had only really tapped into that darkness that was within him. So, no one really liked the Blood Angels, or the Revenant Legion, because they would do what they were supposed to do in the worst way possible. Imagine, I'm blatantly stealing this analogy from a podcast that I listened to recently, but I just love it so much, so sorry. Imagine you call a vet to put down your dog. And you know, it's really sad because Spot was a beloved member of the family. And the vet, you know, he's like, okay, you know, I'll take him and I'll do what I gotta do. And he like takes your dog out of your house and he has him in his arms. And all of a sudden you hear a whack against the wall. And you're like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, killing your dog. And you're like, why did you do it like, it's like, isn't this what you wanted? Didn't you want me to kill your dog? You're like, yeah, but why did you do it like that? You absolute psychopath. That was the vibe of the Revenant Legion. They would do everything in the most brutal way possible, and they would stay on the battlefield later for leftovers. They were not very well liked by the legions. They would, you know, they were eating their enemies. They were being the brutalist nightmares. Not a fun time, all things considered. So when Sanguinius shows up, they're kind of resentful because they are the ugly, disheveled things. Their armor was like this dark gray color, but it was usually people thought it was red armor because of how often they were just splattered in blood. So here they are, these ugly, disheveled, terrible legion, and instead of Sanguinius being like, vow your allegiance to me and I'll make you better, he vows his allegiance to them. He goes, I will do my best to do what is best for you. You are my sons, and you will always have, I will always have your basically. And this dispelled any kind of resentment the Legion could have had. They instantly fell in love with Sanguinius, and they followed what he said. Sanguinius would then take the time to improve the Legion's tactics. He would try to show them his light side and be like, I have this within me, you are my sons, you also have this within you. And he would kind of send them on missions with legions that he thought were honorable, so that they could take lessons from those around them. And slowly, the Revenant Legion became the Blood Angels. And they did have that darkness about them, it was true, but they would stifle it. They would kind of, get it out in healthy ways, I guess. So instead of using their anger and wrath on the battlefield, they would paint a really angry picture before battle, so that they would be really calm and collected when they took that headshot. And Sanguinius just loved his sons, and it showed. He, where do I go next? I guess it just, as the Great Crusade wore on, the best way to just describe the perception of Sanguinius is his nickname, which was the Great Angel. Because he had these massive white wings and this brilliant golden armor, and he would offer surrender to the planets he was conquering, right? He'd be like, this is something we will give you once. And if they denied it, they would swoop in on wings of death. Sanguinius would literally fly, because his wings could fly. So he would just swoop in, and his honor guard had these jump packs that they would fly in with him. And oh, I love this so much. This detail from a book I wrote. A lot of his sons had such a heart for, because they a lot of the time during these unification wars, or not during the Great Crusade, they weren't always fighting aliens, or they weren't fighting some like weird threat. It was rebellious humans who were refusing to join the Imperium. And, well, you know, that really wore on the Blood Angels, because they had grown into this compassion that now they felt bad killing their enemies sometimes. So they developed this kind of tradition where those who were chosen for like the worst jobs, like the worst kind of like most brutal and terrible acts of the battle, would wear something called a death mask. And they would wear it for the battle, and all of the terrible things they had done would stay with the mask. No one they fought would ever see the Blood Angel themselves who did it. They would only see the mask. So when they took it off, their sins left with the bat. This would extend after the Horus Heresy to another thing where high-ranking members of the Blood Angels have these death masks. And the mask itself is carved in the image of the person. So it's like the death mask of blank. And it is carved in the image of that person as they died. So the current leader of the Blood Angels, his name is Dante. And he has the death mask of Sanguinius. That horrible, agonized state when he was fighting Horus. And it is time to talk about Sanguinius' death.
Okay.
Now, one thing that afflicted the Blood Angels, the reason why they always ate people, is because they had that darkness within them was not just the Space Marines. Sanguinius had it too, and it was... Oh. I don't know if you can hear that.
I did not.
The smoke alarm's going off in my house.
Oh, I can sort of hear it. It sounds like the same as the game, so...
Gotcha.
Barely hear a difference.
So,
Tricked you, monster.
the affliction that is known as the Red Thirst. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is exactly what's on the tin. It made the Blood Angels vampire. Let me look up a bit more about it. There's a couple... I guess I lied. It's not quite time to talk about Sanguinius' death yet. First, let's talk about how he almost fell to chaos.
Oh.
So, Sanguinius had this affliction called the Red Thirst. It was this all-encompassing need for destruction, for bloodlust, and eventually drinking of blood. Drinking blood usually calms the Red Thirst, right? You are able to better handle
We are getting somewhere. Now we will find some
the
veterans
fact
for
that
the voice box. Let us go now.
you're better able to control yourself once you've had a sip of blood, right? But the more you drink, the more you want. You can't really stave it off forever. So the Blood Angels had a special a division of their legion called the Death Company. The Death Company was for those Marines that had completely fallen to the Red Thirst, but were still useful enough to, to fight, as it were. But Sanguinius hated the Red Thirst. He hated that he had it. He hated that his sons had to suffer through it, and he wanted it gone by any means necessary. And someone offered a cure. Corn. He was like, you won't have the Red Thirst if you're always fighting. Blood for the Blood God, you know? And Sanguinius almost gave it up, but he didn't. He held on. But things got really worse after he died. Because the psychic blowback of Sanguinius' death, they were all so close with their dad. The psychic blowback of him dying changed the Legion forever. And it added another gene flaw in any member of the Blood Angels, past, present, and future. That's right, it literally afflicted their gene seed itself with a curse called Black Rage. Now, the Black Rage is a state of absolute psychosis where whoever gets afflicted by it believes they are Sanguinius on Horus's flagship. And they're about to kill Horus. They can change the course of history. They just have to kill Horus. So to them, they are Sanguinius, and everyone around them is Horus. Suffice to say, the Death Company got a because they had an insatiable bloodlust. And the only way that anyone there's no cure for the Black Rage. You either die, you get executed, or you get contained. And then you know they change the armor that you have, and you get released when it is most opportune. And the Death Company is a bunch of raving lunatics, essentially, because they all believe they are Sanguinius. And well, it's either they are Sanguinius and everyone is Horus, or they are about to save Sanguinius and they can change history. That's essentially the gist of it. Different authors play around with the idea of the Black Rage a little differently, but it's the same gist. So now you have so with the Death Company, you have these Blood Angels who are absolute stark raving mad, but now they're contained, and all they want to do is kill because they can do it. They can save the Blood Angels. They can fix everything. But deep down, they know this isn't true. So when you go into like a Death Company ship, right? Basically, every room is a cell, and then like the floor like kind of drops out to let them out into battle. But then you go into those rooms, and in the corner, there's a very sloppily carved sculpture that one of them was working on. They're still trying to hold back that darkness, but they just can't because they're just crazy now. But they're still in there, which makes it all the more tragic, because if they were, if they were just gone, they were just crazy and there's nothing you can do to help them, that's tragic. But it's different because they're still in there. They're still there. Oh, it hurts. But that is why I love Sanguinius. He was in a universe, in a setting where everything sucks, where there are no good guys, where there is just pain and suffering Sanguinius tried to be a good man. And now we get to my favorite legion, Alpha Legion. I absolutely adore the Alpha Legion. And it mostly has to do with the fact I just love the Alpha Legion. And I also love their Primarch, Alfarius. Or should I say, Primarchs. When Chaos scattered Alfarius, while his little gestation pod was in the warp, his soul split in two. Thus, there were twin Primarchs of the Alpha Legion. There was Alfarius and Omegon. Now Alfarius landed on, well, okay, what I will say, everything the Alpha Legion does is very Zingian. It is plots within schemes within lies. The very first line of Alfarius's book, which is written from his perspective, is, I am Alfarius. This is a lie. So, talk about unreliable narration. But he begins his book with a couple different versions, a couple different origin stories. And he ends each one with, this is a lie. So, what you can reasonably infer is that each of them is a grain of truth, and you have to put them all together to properly get the picture of Alfarius' true origin story. Which I have done, because I love it. So, Imperial propaganda would have you believe that the first Primarch to be found was Horus. This is a lie. The first Primarch to be found was Alfarius. Because when he was scattered and his soul split, one of his himself went flying off into the cosmos, the other one landed right back on Terra. And it was recovered by the Emperor himself. Now, the Emperor had a lot on his plate. He was still trying to figure out the kinks of this whole Space Marine thing. He was unifying with Mars and the immediate solar system, so he didn't really have time to raise Alfarius as his own. But, you know who did? Malkador, his best friend.
I see.
Now, what I will say, as we get further in, a lot of it is speculation, and a lot of it is my interpretation of events, and my interpretation of what makes sense for me, and also kind of rule of cool sense, and what I hope is the case. But yeah, that's as we get further and further along. There are some stuff that we definitely know are true-ish, probably. But anyways, so Malkador is the one to raise Alfarius. Now, Alfarius, he is raised. So okay, all Primarchs grow up really quickly. Most of them can step out of their gestation pods and walk around and talk and think clearly, even though they look like they're a toddler. But they can beat you in a chess match, easy. And Alfarius was no different. So he is raised by Malkador, and he is told his purpose. A lot of the Primarchs kind of struggled to figure out what was going on with him. Why was I made by the Emperor? What am I supposed to do? What is my purpose in the Imperium? Alfarius was simply told, you are the blade in the dark. You are our hidden weapon. You are to look around and make sure the Imperium is doing what it's supposed to do. You are Emperor's hidden hand. So, Alfarius was raised with the knowledge he was big man. He is very important. And he was also raised as an arrogant little prick. He was bored one day and decided to see if he could assassinate the Emperor.
Oh.
You know, just casually.
Like you do.
So, he flipped past the Custodes, killed one of them and took his armor, and set up a sniping position, waiting on the Emperor to sit down on the Golden Throne. As he's waiting there, the Captain General of the Custodes, a man named Constantine Valdor, comes up to him and is like, "Hey, who the heck are you?" Because remember, the whole plot of the vision for the Imperium is Horus has to be found first. So no one knows Alfarius is real. Only the Emperor and Malcador do. So Constantine Valdor is like, "Who is this guy?" And Alfarius is like, "Haha, wouldn't you like to know?" And they start fighting. Both of them hold their own. Both of them are extremely powerful, and both of them thinks they will win. But it kind of comes up to a stalemate until finally Valdor kind of has like his blade to his neck, and he's like, "I got you this time, man. Give up." And Alfarius is like, "Maybe so, but check it out. I actually hacked those orbital defense turrets, and look what they're aimed at right now. That's right, the Emperor's shuttle. Even if you won, he still dies. So who's the real one?" And Valdor's like, "I freaking hate this guy, but you've got a point." So, this began a, words, help me. Oh, a tradition, there we go, among the Custodes called the Blood Games, where the Custodes will try to assassinate the Emperor to test the integrity of the palace's defenses.
Okay.
Constantine Valdor would never tell them where he got this idea from, but we're pretty sure it was from Alfarius. So now, the Emperor and Malcador talk to Constantine Valdor and like, "Hey, listen, you cannot tell anyone that this guy is real. You just can't tell anyone about Alfarius." And Constantine Valdor is like, "Oh, okay. Okay, fine." So, Alfarius grows under Malcador's tutelage, and he eventually he decides he wants to figure out what else is going on with Dad's big plan. So, he learns that every Primarch has a special Primarch ability. Sanguinius's was, he could see into the future. Alfarius had two. One that he would learn about later, but one that he figured out was he could hide his Primarch aura. Now, every Primarch has just this innate aura, basically, where everyone around them knows that there is someone big and powerful nearby, and you see him and you're like, "Oh." It doesn't help that they're also all like 9 feet tall, but, you know, they have an imposing presence. And when you are amongst, when a Primarch is amongst their own Space Marines, that aura acts as like an adrenaline surge. They all fight harder because they want to, you know, they want to make Dad proud, essentially. But Alfarius learned he could hide his aura. And he also found it really strange how he was fairly short for how his dad kept describing the Primarchs. And he learned that he could blend in as a pretty tall Space Marine. Thus, as the Emperor discovered and found the other Primarchs, Alfarius was there every single time, hidden as a Space Marine. But this whole time there was this hole in his heart, something that was missing, and he always thought it was going to be one of these other Primarchs, one of his brothers, right? The first one that was found, Horus, he was pretty cool, but that wasn't it. He was there when they met Sanguinius, and he was pretty cool. His wings were awesome, but that just wasn't it. It wasn't Magnus or Lorgar. No, it was none of these people. There was something missing. And it wasn't his dad, it wasn't Malkador, it was nobody. Until one day, Alfarius was kind of going at it by himself. He was just on his own, trekking around, and he found a really strange presence that felt oddly familiar, emanating from the inside of a giant space worm. And that giant space worm was a psychic space worm, and it had taken this figure hostage and was feeding off of its psychic energy.
I see.
Alfarius killed the psychic space worm and discovered a man inside that looked exactly like him.
Hmm.
The two immediately, because they're both really smart, are like, oh, we are twins. We were separated at birth. How? Warp stuff, probably. We are one and the same. We are a shared soul, you and I. And instantly they get to plotting and scheming together. Because they finally have an equal. Alfarius tells his brother, Omegon, all about the Imperium, all about these other Primarchs he's seen, and about their own Space Marine Legion that Alfarius has been influencing in secret as just a captain among the Alpha Legion. Or at the time they were known as the Ghost Legion, because they were ghosts. No one exactly knew what they did, but some legions would come to worlds and find them already barely weakened, like someone had already been there, but they weren't there anymore. Like, they would be like, alright, we have to watch out for that artillery cannon, except, oh, that artillery cannon just jammed, and all of its ammo is gone, and that siege turret got unscrewed from the battlements and is currently falling off of it. That's interesting. Either these guys are really inept, or someone sabotaged this place before we got there. That was kind of how the Ghost Legion operated. That was how Alfarius loved to do it. He was plots within plots. He was a schemer. He liked to make things hard for himself, because straight up warfare just wasn't hard enough. So he wanted to make a challenge. And he made it fun. So he would intentionally, you know, just go in, mess some stuff up, and be like, oh, Space Wolves, there's a planet over here, and then this other legion would come in and demolish the planet. But as he's talking with his brother, they realize that eventually they're gonna need to reveal themselves as the Primarch of the Ghost Legion, or the Alpha Legion, as they decided to name it. And Alfarius was like, if I reveal myself, it won't be convincing that I've never seen them before. You need to be the face of the Legion. You need to be Alfarius. So they decided to hide their identities. Because no one knew that there were two Primarchs. The Emperor didn't make 21 Primarchs, he made 20. So Alfarius split in half, and this was a secret that he could leverage. So they wanted to make sure. So Omegon took Alfarius' name, and Alfarius took on Omegon's name. And Alfarius kind of hid in the back, and Omegon, or Alfarius now, made his grand reveal. He infiltrated Horus's ship, and they dueled, but Horus stopped the duel. It's like, wait, time out. You're a Primarch. And I'll refer to him as Alfarius now. Alfarius was like, whoa, this Horus guy is pretty interesting. And it stole the illusion because he'd never seen him before. And thus, the 20th Primarch was found. The Alpha Legion had their Primarch, and it was go time. So, the other ability that Alfarius and Omegon had was they could do this kind of ritual with one of their Space Marines, and it kind of made them a demi-Primarch. it gave them a Primarch aura, and it made them a lot
You need to
stronger.
bring them out of hiding, and then
So
they'll
their
let
whole
you in
hide
the
your
door.
Primarch aura thing got a lot stronger because they could hide amongst their legion, send in a random lieutenant, and he's like, I am Alfarius. And it's believable because he's, you know,
It would mean very much
he
to
has
me.
the aura, he's really strong, it seems like a Primarch, alright. So, Alfarius and Omegon would swap names dozens of times. They would plot different things, and eventually their close captains who knew that there was two of them lost track of who was who because they would swap identities all the time. And that's kind of the point. You're just not supposed to really keep track of who's who, but I have my theories on who's who, and I'll keep that in mind. Because we finally get to the Horus Heresy. Now,
Yay.
there was this group of aliens known as the Cabal,
But you
and the
have to
Cabal
protect them.
had someone who could see the future on their side, and they were like, "Yo,
Don't be a slowpoke, Mr.
we have some visions for you, twin Primarchs of the Alpha Legion." And they were like, "Whoa, who are you guys? Let's hear what you have to say." So, they gave them two visions of the future, which was, there is a heresy that is arising, and you guys will have a choice on who you will join. You can join the Emperor, and if that is the case, the Emperor will win, and humanity will slowly die over the course of 10,000 years. And at the end of those 10,000 years, chaos will emerge victorious, and humanity will die. But if you join Horus, Horus will win. And or if you help the Emperor win, this will happen. If you help Horus win, he will feel so bad for what has happened, and he will just absolutely lose his sanity. And over the course of a generation or two, humanity, the Imperium may die out, but chaos will also die, and there will be a chance that humanity may be reborn. Thus, the Primarch, going by the name of Alfarius, decided they were going to join Horus because they thought that the Emperor's end goal was to destroy chaos. If humanity must die,
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
Oh, did I lose you? Oh no, I can't hear Daniel.
by Omegon,
Oh.
seemingly had other ideas. Oh,
You there?
yes.
Okay,
Hello.
yeah, I hear.
I lost you for a bit.
You cut out for a second, yeah.
All right, where was I? What was the last thing you heard?
Just go back like 30 seconds.
Okay. So the Cabal, they have their two visions, right? One is if you help the Emperor win, humanity will slowly suffer and die over the course of 10,000 years, and chaos will win. If you help Horus win, Horus will go absolutely crazy, nothing will go well, and the Imperium will die over the course of a generation, chaos will die, but humanity may have a chance to be reborn in the ashes. So,
Even though they are physically
Alfarius,
together,
or the Primarch going as Alfarius at the time, was like, okay, well, Dad's plan is to destroy chaos, right? So, even if it sounds weird, we should join Horus so that chaos loses. Let's play some 4D chess here. Let's fight chaos. Let's defeat chaos by defeating the Imperium, essentially. Now, the other brother thought that was really dumb and was like, how about a secret third option where nobody knows? And we do the Emperor's way. And so that is why during the Heresy, the Alpha Legion is doing a lot of very contradictory things. For example, I'll just do one example just to kind of get an idea of what it was like. One of the legions, known as the White Scars, were on this planet, and there was a jammer run by the Alpha Legion that was jamming their communications, so they didn't know the Heresy was happening. All they were getting was this kind of like weird propaganda stream from Horus, and they were kind of erring on joining Horus' side of the Heresy. They're like, oh, there's some weird conflict going. Horus is saying all these weird things. And one of the Primarchs send some of their legionnaires to this communications outpost, and they go, hey, there are some Space Marines there that have taken our armor and have taken over the base. We need you to shut down this base. They're not really Alpha Legionnaires. It's okay. You just gotta destroy it. So they go in, they destroy this base, and then they go to extraction, and it is revealed by the Primarch that sent them, hey, no witnesses. There is no extraction. Hydra Dominatus. And the listening post explodes, and there are no witnesses. And all of a sudden, the White Scars get all the communications they've been missing. And they decide to join the Loyalists. So you might be thinking, why the heck would Alpha Legion do that if they're really traitors? And, of course, my prevailing theory would be, clearly the Loyalist twin made that happen to make the White Scars join the Loyalists. But then there's some other very traitorous things they did that were probably ordered by the other twin, like when the Raven Guard got so absolutely blasted on during that drop site massacre, right? They go to the Emperor to be like, hey, we need new gene seed to make new Space Marines. And the Emperor's like, yeah, here you go. And the Alpha Legion stole it and replaced it with corrupted gene seed that made these awful demonic aberrations that Corvus Corax had to kill himself. He didn't kill himself, he killed his Space Marines, which they still recognized him as his as their dad. It was very, very tragic. But yeah, so the Alpha Legion is really weird. They're doing loyalist things, they're doing traitorous things, but we finally get to, right before the Siege of Terra, the Battle of Pluto, where Alfarius, or Omega, the Primarch of the Alpha Legion, who I will be saying is that begins the beginning stages of the Siege of Terra. There are a bunch of really weird battles that are going on that aren't really battles, some weird vandalism that happens, and eventually it is a showdown between Alfarius and Rogel Dor, the Primarch Imperial Fists, who are basically masters of fortifications, right? They are anti-siegecraft, and they had been placed in charge of fortifying Earth during the Heresy. And so, Alfarius, who is not known for being the best duelist, but he can hold his own, gets into a duel with Rogel, which he did not plan for. And he starts saying, hey, hold on, whoa, listen, I'm trying to help you. I'm showing you the weaknesses in your defenses. And Rogalorn's like, shut up, just fight me, you traitorous scumbag. And eventually, Alfarius is killed. And the other twin feels the other twin die. And he goes, I am Alfarius. And he goes to Horus's war tent, basically, and he gives him a map of all of the defenses of Terra. And then he takes a dagger and he shatters it in his hand, and the Alpha Legion pulls out of the heresy. Which is a really weird move, because the Alpha Legion just exposed all the weaknesses in Terra's defenses, told that to Rogaldorn's face, and so now he's like, oh great, they found all the weaknesses, we have to fix those. And then Alfarius gives those defenses to Horus, which was really weird because you just pointed out the defenses to the defender. So, and then you pull out of the heresy altogether. So, analysis of this from my perspective is, at the Battle of Pluto, it was Omega who was there. And he was arrogant enough to believe that he knew what he was doing. He's trying to help. He's you know, he's bringing the siege to a close. But he's so arrogant that he ignores the fact that he's not better than Rogel Dorn. And Dorn is no nonsense. He doesn't care about your tricks and your plots and your schemes. So he just killed him. Which Alfarius was not expecting, or Omegon was not expecting. But now, Alfarius, who can now finally reclaim his true name, knows better than that. He knows better than to just attack the Emperor head on. That's why he had been in the shadows, because he had learned under the Emperor. He had learned under Malkador. It is my personal opinion, he wouldn't be that dumb to challenge the Emperor and to think he knew better than the Emperor. Because he learned under him. Omegon, who had grown up as a psychic slave to space worms, he had that arrogant streak to him, like we saw in Alfarius. So he would be a bit more prone to believing he's better. Which is why I think he was the traitorous one who took on the, yeah, I know better than Dad, let's fight Dad to beat Chaos, because I know what Dad actually wants, type thing. While the true Alfarius was like, let's do our secret third option and actually stay loyal. So that brings us to the Alpha Legion in the present day. The Horus Heresy was 10,000 years ago, and while Space Marines are long-lived, they're not that long-lived. While most of the traitor Space Marines fled into the Eye of Terror, which, if you remember from before, is where the warp and real space kind of collide. So, time doesn't really work. So, for some Traitor Legion warbands, they were just at the Siege of Terra, they go into the Eye of Terror, they come out because they need supplies, and hundreds of years have passed. They lose, they go back into the Eye of Terror to lick their wounds, another 100 years have passed. Right? It's this kind of repeating cycle of, and a few more centuries, and it builds up, and they haven't really been fighting for 10,000 years. They've been fighting for, I don't know, maybe 500 continuously. But not so for the Alpha Legion, because they, at least when they started, weren't pro-chaos. They were anti-chaos, but anti-Imperium. Pro-Emperor, anti-chaos. It's this really weird dance. So they didn't flee into the Eye of Terror. So they have been fighting the long war the whole time. They have felt all 10,000 years of everything. Now, the question is, what what happened to Alfarius? Because he is not in the current setting. He is in hiding, essentially. And there are no Space Marines. The Space Marines that were alive during the Forest Heresy are dead in the current setting. There are no Marines left from the Heresy. So none of them really... Because Alfarius and Omegon were so secretive, no one knew about their weird 4D chess game to support the Emperor. So the Alpha Legion is completely divided. A lot of them just don't know what to do anymore. Some of them truly believe that they are pro-Chaos Space Marines. So you'll see them with their weird warp mutations and claws and horns and stuff. While others, still a very common thing during the Forest Heresy, was all of the Alpha Legion looked identical, right? They all, because at any moment they could be chosen to replace either Alfarius or Omegon during a mission, so that they could, so they had to look like it. So everyone in the Alpha Legion looked identical. Well, there is only one warband that does that now. Only one of them all look like Alfarius and say the titular line, "I am Alfarius," which everyone knows. The Alpha Legion, one of the biggest memes in Warhammer meme history is everyone is Alfarius. Because during the Heresy, that's what it felt like. Because all of the Alpha Legionnaires looked the same. They all talked the same. They would all claim to be Alfarius if captured. It was just another layer of trickery to them. But now, everyone is so scattered. Only one warband does that now. Everyone else is just kind of doing their own thing. They don't know if their true goal is to destroy the Imperium. They don't know if it's to preserve the Imperium, if it's to worship Chaos, if it's to kill the Emperor. No one knows anymore. And in the most recent novel, the main character he's trying to unite the Alpha Legion by being like, it doesn't matter what Alfarius and Omegon wanted, because they're not here to tell us what to do right now. What matters is how to best move forward. And also, I have Alfarius's spear, so I'm really cool. Listen to what I have to say, is essentially his argument. And that's kind of where the Alpha Legion is right now. But one of my favorite things about the Alpha Legion, that's their history, is their tactics. I love their history, but I also love their tactics. Because unlike most other Space Marines, and not just Chaos Space Marines, but Space Marines in general, is they are unafraid to use all of the resources at their disposal, right? Because you'll have these Alpha Legionnaires fighting alongside aliens, fighting alongside mercenaries, fighting alongside a bunch of different people. As long as they do what they need to do, that's all that matters to them. And it's all about sabotage, baby. That's the biggest thing about them. Like before, Alpha Legion is all about sabotage. So what they'll do is, the moment you see Alpha Legionnaires in open combat, you've already lost. Because they've been there for months making sure you will not win. So you see an Alpha Legionnaire and you're like, oh shoot, sound the alarm. Oh, the alarm has been disabled. And our commander is dead, and all of our ammunition is defective, all our guns shoot backwards, our artillery cannons don't work, our communications have been cut off. How did we not notice this for the past month? And then the Alpha Legionnaires come out in open combat and they just steam it. Because that was what Alfarius loved. It was too easy to just send Space Marines to a city and destroy it. He had to make it complicated for himself. Because as soon as one of your operatives is caught, you change up. But every operative was perfect at what they did. Because they didn't limit themselves to just using Space Marines. They would use, like, elves to do what they would hire, like, elves to help them. They would hire other human mercenaries. They would work with a bunch of different people to do exactly what they needed to do. So nowadays, Alpha Legionnaires kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, someone will have a really weird order come in. And they'll be like, huh, I wonder why I'm being commanded to do that. And that order is probably 5 layers down is Alfarius. He's still working in the background, baby. So, we've been on this stream for a while, and I've covered almost every single question that you've brought up, except for one, which I saved for last.
Awesome.
And that was, what is the theme of Warhammer? And there are 2 that well, they kind of go hand in hand. And to summarize, it's everything sucks, but we persist. It's like, there is no hope of peace. There's no tranquility, there's no comfort, there's no promise of progress, no power in science, there is no common humanity, there is no unity. As like it says on the box, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But even if this war cannot be won, there is value in fighting anyway. There's a quote from Reddit that I really liked. I couldn't find I guess I didn't quote their username, but if you're out there, thank you for this quote.
Go now! Hit him with the needle!
This is the future that if we do not learn now, what is to come? 40K was almost certainly not meant to be a serious philosophical warning, do not enter sign, but it is precisely that. Every little detail of it is so terrible, grisly, brutal, meaningless, but the overriding note of it all is it doesn't have to be this way. Imagine, if you will, an emperor who did not consider aliens impossible. A great crusade where all of the Interrex, the Diasporex, the Technocracy, all these different alien races, were celebrated as new and equal allies in an ever-spreading envelope of mutual trust and benefits. Imagine an Eldar race not struck through and through by arrogance, short-sightedness, and unwillingness to cooperate. Imagine the Necrons rising from their tombs and seeing that the literal reality-shredding effects of the war in heaven were over, and that the original weapon races of the old ones had made new destinies for themselves and reached out with peace to their former adversaries, the meaning to their war long since passed. Imagine the Tau not choking on the boot heel of the Imperials for their own ignorance, but keen to integrate and learn from all they could get their hands on as they truly feel their opportunistic power. These are all the possibilities that were so close that they were just discarded with arrogance. If anything, 40K is the strongest damnation of everything within itself. It is about how we must not ever behave, or we'll all end up in a universe of endless war, covering our ears to block out the laughter of First Income.
I see.
That is the overriding theme of Warhammer. It is everything sucks, but maybe we fight on anyways. When I say there are no good guys in Warhammer, I mean it. Everyone is a terrible person in Warhammer. And the people who are genuinely good, good people in Warhammer, they're not recognized as good people, because people who have to be good have to also be incredibly good warlords. Sanguinius, for example, incredibly good, powerful warlord as well. Vulcan, known as the nicest Primarch, giver of hugs, is also the guy known for using flamethrowers whenever he can. It is very much a raging against the dying of and that's kind of the beauty of Warhammer, is it doesn't have to be like that for us. We have the power to not be like that. We don't have to be like the Imperium, who are so stuck in their ways of racism, xenophobia, utter just like imperialism. We don't have to be like the elves, who are just arrogant and see all other races as lesser. We don't have to be like the cow, whose ruling class just stifles their potential to a level where the only real good character that I can say is good is a guy named Commander Farsight, who even still is, again, a formidable war general. But he accepts other races into his civilization. He tries diplomacy first, and all people underneath him are equal. But he does that in a world, in a universe, where that is seen not as strength of character, not as a good thing, but as weakness. This guy's getting absolutely obliterated. Oh, great heavens.
That's a very interesting way to finish the game.
Yeah.
It is like, yeah, these little kids just shank him. That was the hardest difficulty setting? You kidding me?
They offered you this city.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think we
And
could have
you
timed that
refused
more
it.
perfectly.
And what did you do
Yeah,
instead?
for
Right,
real.
the game just finished.
What I've
Hey,
come to expect.
Good timing. Let's
There's,
go.
I
You
think
saved
there are
them.
2 endings
You
to
gave
this
them the
game,
one thing that was
and they're
stolen from
based
them.
on if you are nice to the little
A
sisters,
chance.
if you harvest them, or if you save
A
them.
chance to learn.
And like the game, the only
find
downside is
love.
that like it says that if you harvest
To
the little
live.
sisters, then they
And in the
you
end,
get
what
more
was your
Adam,
reward?
which is like your thing that
You never
like
said.
your mind control powers.
But I think I know.
But like if you harvest the little
A
sisters,
family.
it says it's supposed to give you more, but it doesn't. Overall, you get more Adam by saving them. So like I
There's
really
no
wish there
real-
was a bad guy route to the game, but that's
Sure.
that. Good game.
Yeah,
though,
I would
really good
think-
game.
Oh yeah. I would think like the way they would do it is like make it so that you become more powerful if you harvest them,
Yeah,
but you get the bad ending.
it's like a oh, what is it there's a game called Prey. Such a good game.
Or like Undertale.
Oh yeah, where you get more powerful, but you're less moral.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Prey, it's similar to Bioshock in that you have like mind control powers. But it's like, very much based in like science and I guess maybe not science, but it's like legitimately you are putting information into your head, whereas in this one it's like basically magic.
Oh.
You good? Hello? You good?
Right. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. All right. Lost you for a second there.
Okay, you scared me. Ah.
All right. There we go.
But yeah, I like Bioshock. That's a fun game.
Oh yeah. Um, but yeah. Any questions? Anything? Any last concluding statements before we sign off here?
Um, no, not really. Nothing's coming straight to mind. No. I wish I had something, but it's all
Yeah.
that boss fight really it's not that difficult, but it is a very interesting fight.
Sure.
And then just
Well.
the little sister's cutscene in the end that kind of I I am in a
Ugh.
blank right now.
Sure.
It's a little
But
silly.
yeah, if you do come up with anything else to ask, anything you want.
Oh, oh no, you cut off again. Oh no. What if I stop streaming? Maybe that'll help. I was streaming over Discord, so. Oh no, he's dead.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's back.
Hello.
You were just like, hey, if there's anything else that you want to talk about, anything that you have to, and then just gone.
Yeah. Anything else? So yeah, anything that like you want to talk about, anything that I mentioned in passing that interests you at all,
Mm-hmm.
let me know. I'll research it as thoroughly as I did the warp, and we can do another one of these because these are fun.
All right, yeah, sounds good. I don't know if
Alrighty.
my cat came through, but she started whining at me. I think
I
she
did
needs
not.
food, so.
I think I need food, man.
Yeah, same. That sounds good.
All right. Well,
Well,
I shall see you later.
I shall see you later. Goodbye.
Hello.
And that is that. I am Bioshocked. Little pun. That was an awful pun. But that's the game. Fun times. I enjoy it. And